Alrighty. Welcome back. Glad to see you, beautiful people. Doing good? Doing great? Doing fine? Welcome back, cuties. We are going to be looking through Osmo's 8th anniversary. Let me know if the sound is fine as usual. Hopefully I'm not muted. I am not muted. Awesome. And we are going to be reviewing a lot of content. So if I miss anything, feel free to give me a shout to point out what I should cover. But yeah, today I do intend to go over multiple recommendations for the Rainbow ticket that has been refreshed for the permanent 5 stars, the Platinum tickets that are limited time, we received 8 in total, the limited pick tickets for 5 stars, and limited pick tickets for the 4 stars. I'll also be, of course, going over the reprints and what's called the new banner, and many other content that has released for anniversary. But yeah, welcome. Let us do our best. Welcome, everyone. Good to see there's a good audience here. Let's get warmed up. I am gonna need a guide though, so I'm gonna just pull out on the side of my computer the list of news elements from this anniversary. Right, so starting right off the bat, we should just review our login bonuses real quick. So, as we can see here, there are a lot of login bonuses, including the maintenance bonus, as well as 8 tickets for the very first day, apparently, vlogging in, as well as a few My Guild items, which I will not be showing off. You can check out how it looks inside the wiki, not the wiki, rather the Osmo's official info page. And lastly, you can see we received looks to be 10 million coin as well as 150 stones. You get this for logging in at any point of the login period, and we also managed to get this new equip, which I will be talking about a bit later. But yeah, as a review of all the actual topics for logging in. This is wrong top. Here it is. So, when you log in throughout this campaign, as you can see here, we are, for the very first day, as in today, receiving 8 tickets and 8 AR summon tickets. However, for the consecutives, you do receive a distinct bonus each time. So be sure to log in for every single day, because the rewards are quite nice. Especially the level seeds and skill seeds, although Rainbow Fragments on the day after sounds quite nice too. But yeah, log in. Do not miss a day. But yeah, we are going to be moving on to the next topic. I'm just gonna move over and snag all these items. Thank you. We'll talk about that equip again later. So for the next topic, there is a new website which you can check out on your free time. I'll talk about it more later. Let me just skip that topic, actually. Right. We should actually just go ahead and do some of the new polls, because this is gonna be the shorter part of the video where I go ahead and explore the new gameplay features with regards to the new banner. So, I will be giving recommendations out later for tickets, but for now, let's talk about the new banner as well as all the reprints. That one Curren voter, wow, the disproportionate amount. I mean, I understand. We can talk about these later, but I'm just to wean you over to bait you in so they can extreme the watch viewership, obviously. Let us go ahead and talk about the reprints first. So, I'll be reiterating this on a video later, of course, but for the video where I talk about the anniversary content, I will not be covering each unit here, not even in the lightning round. That is my intention, because no one here received any evolutions, and it's gonna fucking kill me to cover every single topic here when it's like, yeah, it's just not happening. There's a lot of topics I didn't have enough time to prepare beforehand, unlike last year. So I'll just go ahead and briefly give you an idea of if you should pull on each banner or not. So for this banner here, the main focus is going to be the 5 stars plus Masanori, so Tajikarao, as well as what's called perhaps as a second variant. The reason why is because they have staple roles that you could find handy, but honestly, you probably have some replacements already. This is probably my least favorite banner to pull from out of the 4 reprinting ones. So go ahead and pull this if you want a board wiper from Krampus on demand. Of course, you have Jurong, that's not necessary. There's also a few other board wipers of different variations you can take. There's also Taishakuren, who works as a local and board-wide amp, although we have variations of that. And then we have Masuroi, who's an amp that specializes in tall maps. So, my thoughts on this are, because the Rainbow Ticket has been distributed for, has been refreshed for the permanent 5 stars, I know that Mononobe is really strong, but there's a free option now that you can get. It's Oscar. Just pick up Oscar. You don't need Krampus for a board-wide 5-star. And as for a board-wide amp, just bring Yule, who you can redeem from Anvari Shop just for the weekly rewards of the Rainbow Shards. So go ahead and get Yule. You do not need Taishakuren. You do not need Krampus. Masanori is just like a local amp for trip column clearing, which is like, I don't know, it's helpful, but it's even like more situational than Taishakuren at that point. Alright, moving on to the next reprint banner. This is probably the quirkiest banner this year, because it is a banner that is primarily focused on playing with different ways with debuffs in unconventional ways. And debuffs are not really an archetype in themselves generally, they're kind of just like a way to implement things. But in this one, they really are just ways to be quirky with them. And particularly with the 4 stars, really, because the 4 stars for Saruhiko has that sort of, you want to debuff the enemy as much as possible to charge full your own team. For Bael, you will want to get debuffs for both your allies as well as the enemies, which he can inflict himself through the new status of Vanity, which does nothing except exist as a debuff. And for Igonmak, our beloved fat bastard here, he is able to massively increase charge fill to his entire team, as long as they are debuffed. So fantastic setups here for debuff to your team or the enemy. It's very quirky. The 5 stars are actually not that amazing or centralizing in comparison. So unlike the previous banner Crossroad, which is mostly you want it for the 5 stars, this one's a bit easier because the 5 stars are, it's a board wiper that's a bit weird with some specific buff copying effects from add-on, as well as column clearing with an instant repositioning forward from Barong. Neither are particularly perfect for farming because Perron doesn't have his charge uptime fully reliable, and Barong does not have his full damage reliable because I believe his charm is not at a guaranteed rate. And he does have charm advantage. But yeah, you'll probably be wanting to pull for the 4 stars here. With that said, even the 4 stars are not going to be used for farming generally. Everyone here is just like a challenge pick, really. But yeah, moving on to the next topic, it is going to be Top of Summer Mountains. So for Top of Summer Mountains, we are receiving some fantastic 4 stars here, minus the new unit. Just pretend Himovat doesn't exist, because this is probably my favorite banner to recommend out of all 4 of them, which is surprising. The 4 stars are huge studs for the most, but the 5 stars are huge studs for the most, but the 4 stars are fantastic for their specific map sizes. Zao is excellent for map repositioning for large maps, and also just board-wide and local amp, so perfect for farming in any large map, really. Same thing for Tangaroa, but for tall maps, given his ability to coerce allies reliably into snipe range. So he's kind of like, he's kind of like Eta, but 4-star, and he's kind of like the Sphinx, but reliable. So very cool. And he also comes with his own bundle of amps. Lastly, there are the 5 stars. They're not as incredible, although I am warming up to Bigfoot because he does give a bunch of 1-turn buffs that are quite nice for charge fill setups like with Inaba or Yarmangandr or Kagutsuchi. But, it's not something to really be breaking out your wallet for that intensely. Enigma, my opinion, kind of fell off of him even more. It's just like Bind that's guaranteeable for the first 3 turns, which is like, there's so much options, even as a soft now. like come on. So yeah, you do not need Enigma, who's the worst here, well, besides Himavad. But yeah, last reprint of this batch is going to be the most recent one, which is probably fresh off your minds, Tokyo Dancing Saturday. So Tokyo Dancing Saturday there's only one reason you'll want to pull for this, really, and it's Merodach, or Marduk, depending on how you want to pronounce his name. So Merodach over here is a quite... Wait, what's his name? Merodach Ushiko? Sorry, I never noticed like the second half of his name there. But Merodach is a... What's it called? He is a very strong magic damage dealer and reliable too. His only downside is if he gets hit, he loses everything. So it's like Balor, but even riskier. But he's more reliable than Balor. Has a lot more damage than Balor. I believe he's actually the second or third strongest damage dealer in the game. Only second to or thirded to Anvari after he moves. And you know, first place is of course Fully. But he's a 4-star, so that's like a huge difference there. So he's like the one and only reason you'll want to pull. Like, Hakumen is fine for her, like, 2-turn board wide range, but she's not particularly strong, and it's not really convenient to get her loop going off. She doesn't really have a way to get a loop, honestly, for a charge. But yeah, for Wakan Tanka's Saturday variant, he is a board wiper on demand on another way, so kind of like Krampus, except he copies all buffs around him. So a bit more situational, and... you can just get Oscar, so that's why it's like you don't need this. As for Bathian, he is a better solo carry, so he's probably one of the best solo carries this year, but he's also like inferior to Merodach in terms of damage and reliability, so it's like he just got mogged by a 4-star within his own banner, so that is plenty funny. But yeah, those are my overall recommendations. In summary, Crossroads, 5 stars for staples, but you can just get Oscar Newell, so least favorite banner of the to be playing for. What's called? Valley of Summer Host, pull for the 4 stars if you want some quirky debuff setups, but none of these are going to be particularly great for farming, just for fun challenge stuff. And then we have Top of Star Mountain, pull for the variant 4 stars, because they're great for the respective maps. And lastly, pull for Merodach in this banner, Tokyo Dancing Saturday, because his damage is actually just like exceptional for sure, and very easy to guarantee. But yeah, that is enough baiting you guys. I'm sure you're here for a different reason. Starting with the new anniversary banner, featuring everyone's favorite characters, Breiki as well as Mephistopheles, and you know the side characters, Curren as well as Kyoma Mononobe. Okay, but let's be real. Let's talk about their kits. So, we'll be talking first off of the fact that this is a new attribute system. I'll show you the chart for it later because I forgot to save it, but we can see it in game later. But yeah, the chart system, or this new element, God type, I'm not sure if it's officially translating it, but it can translate to God, it can translate to Divine, don't know what it's going to be officially called yet. It is given respect both to the 5 stars of Curren as well as to Kyoma, not their 3 stars. But yeah, Kyoma and Curren, they now have 2 times advantage because of their attribute to pretty much all attributes except for that special domain trifecta of all around and infinity and null, where they have the reverse advantage, or rather disadvantage to them. But the fact that they have advantage to both offensive and defensive to every other attribute is kind of nuts. Very unbalanced. Yeah, this stream is popping. I mean, it better be. It's the anniversary one. It's the one I put in the most effort to. But yeah, I haven't read any of the chat yet. I'll get to it, but you know, there's a lot of topics to be going on here, so maybe it's to the viewers the best interest to not do that. Read everyone's chats. But for now, we are going to be talking now about the kits of these units. So, starting off with Curren. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name actually, but yeah, Curren, however you want to pronounce her name. Well, I think you should just look at her 3rd skill to understand her strongest feature. She has the ability to refresh all debuffs every turn guaranteeably. In fact, it's guaranteed out of the box because she starts with Glint every phase starts, so she just refreshes that indefinitely, along with every other buff. Her only downside for this extremely powerful effect is that she doesn't really have any powerful buffs she starts with, other than acceleration and what's called that Glint, as I mentioned before. So she is going to be very team dependent, but once you throw in those buffs, she's going to be a complete juggernaut all by herself. Going to be very good for not necessarily soul carries per se, but like once you get her up and running, you're just going to like steamroll quests with no effort whatsoever. But yeah, definitely overwrites units like J. Krampus, as you're pointing out, Lazy Crow, because Krampus had the ability to also refresh buffs, but he had to move. Meanwhile, Curren does not even have to do that. She just exists and copies and... well, she doesn't copy, but she just refreshes all buffs. So that's a downside. However, she does have a few other unique things to her. She's a bit like Behemoth in terms of coercing charge on the enemy as well as punishing them by filling them or by charge filling them with a massive amount of... what is the total here? 60 CP to enemies that are like left and right of who she hits. She's able to build her charge until they reach 100, where she will deny their attack, at least for the first 6 turns, because she will then inflict CS weapon change none. Very cool stuff. And they also receive a massive amount of flat damage. That's actually quite a lot. 10,000 flat damage for every turn. Kind of like a half of countdown at that point. So yeah, she's getting crushed in pulls, but perhaps to be expected. She questionably used for farming, but she's like incredibly strong, undeniably. Very easy to make strong in many teams. She also has that board-wide acceleration, which, while situational, I guess there are a few more options for acceleration-centric teams, so she might be a staple for that. The rest of the features, I don't really have too much to say about it. I mean, she has like instant flat damage on the entire board, which is a bit funny. But yeah, keep an eye out for her because, again, she's stronger than she even seems on top of this because she does have that divine type, which just makes her 2 times stronger than everything, besides those very rare domain attributes. Alright, but we will now be talking about Kyoma Mononobe, the character who had helped us transfer into Shinjuku Academy in the story, and the one who had disappeared later on in the story before we had to connect his 3 pieces. So uniquely enough, this is the second 5-star we are receiving with the mentor ability, or rather a mentor adjacent ability. He does give that mentor bonus of 10%. Notice how I dart to that right away, because that's going to be the most important reason why people are going to want to pull for him. He does have that well, actually, it's just the same amount. So he does not actually replace a mentor's bonus. He's not actually optimal in that sense, but he is optimal in the sense that he makes the quests much easier in dungeons, because he has permanent demonic pact on himself, along with activating contractual dues, which makes him very tanky, on top of his ridiculous amount of HP, because he is divine, so they balance the attack by lowering it, but then they increase the HP result. So now he's just going to be very hard to kill, even without affiliations. And he will get his charge up very quickly because of Demonic Pact. He can also bestow it to allies as well, which is kind of the tricky part about his kit. You're not going to be playing against the quest as much as you are going to be playing against his own kit now, because his kit has the issue of applying Demonic Pact and contractual dues to allies around him. And you can't really avoid doing this because you also want to move him for all range, so for himself, so he can start board wiping. Not that it is quite strong. I'll get to the damage values later. From what I've heard, though, it's like roughly a bit of over 10,000. But yeah, what's it called? Demonic Pact to allies is an issue because, as we saw from Mephistopheles, when you are applying it to allies on move, you are essentially disabling their turn start and phase start effects every second turn. So that's not great for certain units that kind of function and live and die by their phase start abilities. Kind of like Qinglong with his concentration. You're going to miss out on that if you time it wrong. His buff lasts 2 turns. Yeah, I'm aware it lasts 2 turns. The contractual dues lasts for 6 turns, while the Demonic Pact lasts for 2 turns. So you'll only want to move him every 2 turns. Thank you for pointing that out. That actually complements his Ardor as well on move. As well as his weapon change on move, which is at also lasting 2 turns. So you'll probably want to move him and then move some other unit. I don't know, but the other unit is at risk for, or all the other units are at risk for having their base start and turn start effects disabled. So watch out for that. That's probably going to be the main issue with dungeons now. Not really the challenge of dungeon stuff, but just watching out for disabling your own allies' features. So those are the most relevant ones. Although he does have an on arrival effect that pulls everyone directly next to him when the game begins. So kind of like Boogeyman, except instead of pulling enemies and allies towards you, it's just the allies, and it's ignoring the distance. It just moves them directly next to him towards his column. And as you can see here, this total turn 5 thing is going to be very relevant for dungeons, because dungeons by necessity last for at least 10 turns, even the ones that you skip count as turns. So those total turn 5s to 6 onwards, which means on the boss phases and onwards, the semi-boss phase of phase 5, you will be getting that crit plus bestowal to allies ahead. which, you know, can stack with that attack up. The best synergy here is obviously going to be if you have your own Mononobe, just put him behind another Mononobe to give him the crit plus plus, which is dumb, but, you know, that's just how it is now. And he does have that after debuff, remove debuff thing. It's not as good as, like, Azathoth or something, but it's still nice because that's kind of like his only weakness for dungeons, because if he gets shit over by, like, for example, a devil that gives him fear, you know, it will suck, because he does rely on moving quite a lot for his all range and his effects to allies. But you'll be carrying either way because his demonic pact himself does have the defensive effect, which will make him hard to kill either way because of both the divinity advantage, defensive advantage, as well as the reduction of damage from demonic pact. It's not gonna be a risk really to lose it all, unless they increase unless they roll out some higher dungeon levels. This, like, Mononobe can probably steamroll most content in this game, or all the dungeons in this game really. But, you know, being feared by devils is still a real risk, and this remove debuff effect is not going to guaranteeably remove it, unfortunately. He is able to sort of just shrug off skill lock and bind though from the ninjas as well as the mobsters from dungeons, so that can be helpful. But I think I saw maybe Harvey point this out earlier. These are actually somewhat relevant for the farm quests for blossoms as well. Maybe seals. I don't know what the seal quest is like. But yeah, this is gonna be, Mononobe is gonna be strong enough, from what I can tell, for also just blossom farming and all that if you want to level someone up simultaneously. So very good in terms of that total synergy. As for his total damage, he is stronger than Oscar. So I know I recommended Oscar, and I do still recommend him, but because he is, like, far and away the best option out of all the other options. But, like, Mononobe is better. He does just need to move, though, is the thing. And Oscar has a higher peak in his damage, I believe, with his, you know, phase turn 1 crit, as well as what's it called, his charge damage. Meanwhile, Kyoma here kind of just has, like, consistent damage all around. I'm not sure what his damage is on his charge, though, but it is slightly higher with crit, I guess. But yeah, I am getting a dry start here from talking so much. Ooh, too much yapping. But yeah, I'm sorry I haven't been reading the chat for a while. I guess I'll do that a bit while I pull now, though, because it is funny time. I have talked about all these units to death. But yeah, by the way, Babalon gives Glint, so remnant of his ability. But yeah, moving on, we're gonna be pulling. Let me just get this out of the way. What am I drinking? It's water. It's nothing special. If you don't know what to spell your Rainbow Salmon Tikkunan, don't worry. I'll review everything after these pulls. So we'll be getting to that after this. So my targets for this banner are obviously, actually I'm gonna be greedy. I kind of want both 5 stars, so that clearly means I won't be getting either now. But you know, the goal is both 5 stars. I obviously want Mononobe more, but like I am like licking my lips towards Curren's kit right now. It's like wow. Let's hope for not too much breaks in Mephistopheles though, because I have both. So let us go ahead and cross our fingers. Starting with our tickets, 28. Reiki and Nicho. 3 multis, 9 tickets, and still Mononobe. Ooh, I think that's on me. Thank you for the luck, everyone. You got me hailed with Dad. What's your budget for this banner? I don't know. I mean, that is a cool background. Is this the Game Master's headquarters? I think this is the Game Master's headquarters. It's like run down here, but also like an observatory above. That's pretty cool. I like this, what's called, sort of a contrast between the what was Reclaim My Nature versus the future. Yeah, please no spoilers. But yeah, as for my budget, I do know the Christmas units that are coming up. I think it should be fine for me to share them, but I'll share them at the end of this now. I think Harvey wanted me to keep it a secret. I'll tell you about them later, but because I know the Christmas units, I'm not really eager to be saving for them. So I'm just gonna be pulling everything here pretty much, and I don't know, we'll probably get enough tickets for Christmas or whatever. It doesn't matter. All right, so yeah, my budget is like all my stones and all my tickets. That's for this. I'll talk about them later. At the end of the stream, if I remember. Hello, Tinjin. You're only here for Krampus. Good luck with those pulls. Tomte. Yeah, this is definitely popping up for a 5-star, or rather a Prologue banner, because sometimes the Prologue banners tend to be kind of sus, at least on release. Like, if you remember Wakan Tanka Mugen and Tangaroa Mugen, they were not that good on release before their Evos, so, you know. And then we also had Kirito as well as, what's it called? Bigfoot, which were also not that great on release, I believe. I mean, I think Kirito was still fine. He received an Evo. I forget if his board-wide amp was actually on his Evo or not. It probably was on his Evo, so yeah, Kirito was not that great on release. But yeah, this one, they definitely bounced it just right. Well, maybe they're a bit strong, but definitely better than just like underwhelming anniversary units. Oh, cursed Shamash. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Never had Shamash restart until now. Bigfoot 5-star base is actually fun for you. Must say there are better options out there. Oh, there's Kima. Hey, I did it. I got them.
改めて自己紹介をしよう。俺は物部京馬。この新宿学園の教師であり、お前さんの保護者、代理のつもりでやってきた。卒業式を見届けたいと思っている。これからもまたよろしくな。
I like his voice actor that I had to look it up, but like, I gotta say, this is not the voice I was imagining for Kyoma. I'm not sure if it suits him that well. I like Kyoma. I like the voice actor. Together, I'm not sure. I may need to grow on it. Alright, moving on. Big man jump scare. Run all you want, there's no escape. Curren and MSC1. If anyone knows the reference to MSC1, let me know. I am interested in the lore when it comes to that stuff. As long as it's, you know, not too spoilery. I was imagining Mononobe's voice to be more calmer. Like, very teacherly and warm. He sounds kind of sus, honestly, in this current one. We are getting a lot of hot Garbo. Kati, do not worry, people. Maybe I should speed through this. I wonder how many people are here just for the recommendations. I should speed through this if that's the case. I did promise recommendations, so let's hurry through this. Hello, Godmer. When his design screams, he def has a hit, for sure. Christine. And my tickets have been deleted. Ticket deletus. Benrer. Huma. You've heard of Kyoma Mononobe, get ready for Kyoma. Not so Mononobe. Ooh, I am loving the trash today. I am getting fucking nothing after like 3 multis. Oh my god, it's Shirong! Okay, let's get out of here. And move on. Wow. I am eating dog shit today. Are we doing a discussion stream? Can maybe save Christmas spoilers for that. Okay, fine. I won't be spoiling it today then, out of request and respect for Harvey. Yeah, we can do a discussion for this. Because, you know, since I cut a lot of topics out for the video, I should have time to do a discussion. I'm not gonna be overwhelmed that much. But yeah, I'll save the Christmas spoilers for then. But just letting you know, based on what I know, I'm not too keen on saving for it that much. Delicious garbage. Yum, yum. Actual trash. I love it. You're getting us me most of the time when you're gotcha playing, for sure. Alright. We are now pulling out the stones, including some of the stones I got from redeeming or purchasing the limited pick banner. Or limited pick ticket, rather. Come on, give me Mononobe or Curren. Not trash. Please, no trash. Not Bag is trash. Not Makara trash. Not Simok trash. Not Tadatomo trash. Not Uzume trash. Not Kyoma 3-star trash. Not Kechi trash. Not Kyoma dupe again trash. Not Bael trash, please. No more trash. Kyoma, please stop being trash. Why is Kyoma showing up? This is the wrong Kyoma. I want Kyoma, not Kyoma. I'll get to the tickets, but yeah, Oscar is the best choice for sure. That trash, yummy trash. Delicious trash. Mephistopheles trash. Andvari 3-star trash. Yummy yummers. Curren 3-star trash. Maria trash. Mephistopheles trash. Yummy. Noden's trash. Mephistopheles trash. Sankumara trash. Why am I getting Makara so often? Trash. Typhon trash. Wow. So yummy. Alright, let's continue. Bushi trash. Ashigara trash. Drong is baby! He's not trash, he's the best one in the game redeemed. Amdusha's trash. Neon Step trash. I don't have Neon Step 4-star actually. That's nice that I got him. Because I do think his quit's quite quirky with his Evo. Ricky trash. Shiva trash. Akia Gongian trash. Forgot his name for a second. Hey, Ote! What a man Hote here. Otter trash. I love it. Especially since one only can solo carry dungeons now with that extra 10% bonus. Yeah, I mean, that's apparently he's useful for in support slot either, too, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, goodbye. There'll be no voice line time for you, Otter. Tsathoggua trash, Isaac trash, wrong, genius, Kyoma trash. Where's the 5 stars? Where's the 5 stars? Robinson, get out of here. Ugly trash. Mephistopheles, ugly trash. Curren, ugly trash. Where's your 5 star? Okay, well, let's hope for Mononobe now. I'm surprised they let me skip the golden animation. Yo, new background. Curren is extremely quirky in battle, and in a very easily accessible way for quirky. It is team building dependent, but she's very powerful. I did just talk about her. And summary though, she refreshes all buffs on herself trend start, so you don't need to move her, she just refreshes all buffs you give her. Very spicy stuff. Icon looks pretty cool too. Alright, we only have 4 more multis to go. Let's do this. As a sauce, Kuniyoshi, Kyoma, Nova trash, Mototsumi trash. Easy, just get both 5 stars, right? I know I said I wanted bows, but like, I was not expecting to actually get either. Oh no, the cursed Tati. Get out of here, Heimbot.
改めて自己紹介をしよう。俺は物部京馬。この新宿学園の教師であり、お前さんの保護者、代理のつもりでやってきた。卒業式を見届けたいと思っている。これからもまたよろしくな。
Cool event. Anyways, it didn't actually cost me everything. Like 350 stones and like 30 tickets isn't that bad for both 5 stars. Like, it's not that bad, honestly. I've seen much worse with like 1,000 stones for not even getting one of them. This is pretty good, if I'm being honest. And I have a bit left over for Christmas, so woo! Finish! Alright, let's get out of here. Right, what is this mission? Is this the one for where we get the rainbow ticket back? Yeah, it is. So, as you can see here, the rainbow ticket has been refreshed. I'll level up Mononobe later, don't worry about that. But right now, let's finally move on to the ticket recommendation section of this game. First of all, we'll just redeem this ticket, and then we'll go ahead and get our platinum tickets. But yeah, your old ticket has expired. If you hadn't used it, L, you have been warned 10 billion times. That'll be your fault. Let us go to the anniversary thing and check out the event. 8th anniversary ceremony at Shinjuku Academy. Ooh, that sucks, Nyaru Panda.
いたいた。みんなが言ってた通り。さあ、お姉さんと一緒に行きましょう。
Did she just refer to herself as One-san? This pompous bitch. Also, where's Boogeyman? Get out of here, Shino. No! Get away from me! Stop calling me a troublemaker! Get away! No more Shino! Get this ugly cow away from me. He's not actually ugly, but his character writing is fucking ugly. With heavy encouragement from Zuz and Cherang, you leave your dorm. After passing through an all too familiar Shinjuku Academy, you arrive at the gymnasium to find it lavishly decorated. That's a new background. A new, posterized background. Anything.
ようやく顔を出したな。元織たちへのことづて、ちゃんと届いたらしい。
Yo, teach! Is there a party on today? It took some time to get ready.
着崩れなし。うん。普段と同じ制服も心なしか立派に見えるな。今日の主役はお前たち。愛すべき生徒たちだ。京馬先生ともどもこの晴れの日を楽しみにしていたんだぞ。お前を呼びに行ってくださったお二人もこの日のためにいろいろと準備を手伝ってくれてたな。
I'm very glad you two are wearing something other than your ugly gymnasium uniforms.
そんなこと生徒たちも同じだろう。お前はいちいち大げさに言いやがってこういうのはだな。
そうですね。みんなこの日のために準備に練習に先生も生徒も頑張ってくれたな。今日はめでたい祝いの席だ。先生方が揃ったらパーッと乾杯でもなんてな。
I'm gonna say it right now. The fact that they're using like a random posterized background, even though it's new, it is posterized. So it is ruining the mood a tiny bit for this anniversary. What is this cheap ass background they're using?
さて、それでは皆様、お手元
8 years and this is what they can afford for backgrounds. Just take a photo and like use the posterized filter.
ジーズ先生、こっちこっち。手伝いはありがたいですが、一旦こっちで乾杯。
すみません。すぐに終わりますから。はい。新野先生にもご一緒していただきました。
Sure we can.
せっかくなんでお呼ばれして。今日ばかりは保健室でお留守番なんて必要はなさそうかな。
You're not even a teacher. He's not even a teacher. He's not even a teacher. Where's Boogeyman? Where's Sandayu? Jesus Christ.
なんてな。
Who's this bozo? He belongs in Penitentiary Academy.
新宿の子はやんちゃが過ぎるから。今日は息抜きってとこさ。
Cheating his way into anniversary. Can't believe this.
新野先生、 いつもあなたたちのこと、怪我はないか、ちゃんと登校してきたかって心配してるのよ。
ジーズ先生、乾杯しましょう、乾杯。いやー、俺もう今日はこれが楽しみで。
Chenong did the fact, but that was just in the main quest. Like, Penitentiary Academy exists in every other loop too. Like, and you know, Babalon never changed into the Shinjuku. He's always in Penitentiary.
おっと。さあ、
And he never really defected. It's more like Penitentiary blew up, so he went to Shinjuku as a result.
僭越ながら乾杯の温度はこの私が。本日はお日柄もよく、このめでたい日に皆が揃い。
I don't know what to tell you, but if you watched or played Halloween Police, the story takes place with Sanryu as your teacher, but Mononobe also exists in the staff, so it's not mutually exclusive, evidently.
乾杯。
乾杯。
乾杯!
お前、今俺がきちんと挨拶をだな。
It's nice that we could see them voice acted again and get some new skins, but like,
まったく。
could you imagine how much better this would be with Boogeyman and not Shino?
先生も関係ないな、ここの人。
You never liked Sunny, to be honest? I mean, he did kind of just insert himself. I like his voice acting, and his role in the story wasn't that bad. But he is kind of like a bit scummy too, in terms of just like, I am doing this just for the money. The 10 billion coins I'm getting from Smoky God.
そこはそれ。真の先生だってそうそう人のことは言えないでしょうに。
まあ、元気がいいのは素晴らしいけど、生徒のお手本になるようにですからね。
ジズ先生もすっかりうちの生徒たちに鍛えられて、この会場の準備も張り切ってましたな。
はい、みんながニコニコ楽しんでくれているのが伝わって、高い場所の飾り付けとか頑張っちゃいましたの。
I feel nothing from this conversation. Like, I haven't felt any spark from anything what they're talking about. It sounds very sterile.
俺たちが用意するには学校の体育館ってのはな。
ここで過ごす
Sorry, Jen, I interrupted you.
とても素敵なものなんだって。大事な場所で、時間で、相手で。
そうじゃないと感じるものもいるかもしれないが、少なくとも俺たちはそうあってほしいと願っている。
ここにいてくれたこと、話してくれたこと、学園を通り過ぎていった後も何かが残るさ。
思い出は楽しいだけのものじゃないが、その時その時にお前が感じた全部を大事にしてほしい。
So gruff, his voice, I swear to
大
God.
事にできないこともあるかもしれない。
Alright,
時間をかけてたくさんのものを
good point. This was listed in the... What's it called? This was listed in the info page. But apparently in this scenario, or maybe there's a bonus scenario after, only exists with bonus dialogue if you've managed to complete chapter 15. I did not because it's not translated. But yeah, I'm not sure which it is, if there's a bonus scenario after this or if it's just this one that has extended dialogue. But this or some other scenario does have bonus dialogue if you do chapter 15. I don't know if it's translated. It would be weird if it was translated, but it would make sense, I guess, because everything else is. Despite chapter 15 not being translated. That'd be fucked up. If first one was good, they would have tunes in Crash Party and go, what are we? Some sort of Tokyo after school summer? Okay. I regret reading that out loud.
俺たちがお前と出会った全てのものが言おうと思えば長い時間を一緒にいてやれる。
See, I'm with you, Lazy Crow, but I'm not even sure if I'll remember this a year later when it finally gets translated. Chapter 15, that is.
そうだな。この瞬間を楽しい思い出にして一緒にいようじゃないか。まず手始めにパーティーの贈り物をやらないとな。今回は無理を言ってうちで引き取らせてもらったな。
From behind the scenes.
さあ、お待ちかね、8周
Very
年の
unethical
プ
for a
レゼ
game
ント
master.
だ。ここへ来た時からいつもらえるんだろうって顔してたぞ。何に使うかしっかり考えてきたか？ この日を待ちわびていたんじゃないか。そうだろう、そうだろ
う。無駄遣いはするんじゃないぜ。なんてそんな野暮なことは言わないよ。好きなように使ったらいい。
でも慎重に使ってね。とっても貴重なものだから。間違えたなんて取り返しはつかないからね。
Oh yeah, the Oxy Bleach theme. Iconic.
交換には期限もあるから、うっかり忘れたりしないか、お姉さん心配だわ。
This is a call out to all you. Make sure to use your platinum tickets before the end of this campaign.
大丈夫ですよ、ジズ先生。我々の生徒です。もし失敗しても前を向いて笑ってくれますとも。なんでトリトン先生のくせにいいこと言うじゃねえか。そうだぜ、身長もいいが失敗だって笑い飛ばしてやれ。
先生方、すっかり俺の言うことがなくなってしまったな。ま、それもいいさ。お前が喜んでくれるならそれでな。それでは祝辞といこうか。
Me feeling nothing at all to this. I feel nothing towards this cast.
ありがとう。明日からの未来もまた一緒に進もう。
You know, I thought like the Genociders one was the worst anniversary because it was so like it was just like a random house party and barely any fanfare, but this one might be kind of more underwhelming somehow. It's just like a bunch of stiff teachers without the personality behind it.
そういえば今日はどうしてみんなと一緒に会場に来ていなかったの？
クラスメイトは先に来てたみたいだが、何か心配事でもあったのか？悩みなら後で先生が聞くぞ。
そういう時に保健室登校してくる子もいるっちゃいるけど、なんせ今日は8周年のお祝いだ。楽しみだったはずだろ。
I had stuff I was thinking about. I thought I'd take my time.
まさか制服で参加ってのが嫌だったか？それならこの後好きな格好に着替えて乾杯だ。どうだ？
先生、二次会に生徒を連れ出しちゃダメですよ。あれ？でも保護者同伴ってことになるのかしら。
ジーズ先生、そこ悩んじゃダメですって。問題児くんは寮へまっすぐ帰ること。これからは大人の時間な。
羨ましいかもしれんが今日ばかりはすまん。お前ともそんな時間をいつか過ごしたいものだな。
These guys don't really have personalities, and Shino is just like troublemaker this, troublemaker that.
俺たちは未来で待ってるからな。
This anniversary makes you feel like you're hanging out with adult teachers, and kind of makes you feel awkward by age gap. Not like, yeah, this is the feeling I get. It's like they're kind of just treating you like a student with some weird distance and very formal, even though it's like this is the most exciting thing every year.
と先生方も盛り上がってるところをすみま
It
せん。
is a bit weird that the teachers are just celebrating with just MC this thing. Like, aren't we supposed to be? I mean, I guess they were talking about the other people here, but like, I don't know.
話をしようじゃないか。いいだろう。
I'm not sure if they ever guessed in chapter 15, but they certainly did not between chapter 14 before.
夜風が少し寒いな。
That's what I'm saying, Peterson. Teachers off for another round. Oh, fair. I want the party mode.
まあそう言うな。先生同士の付き合いってやつもあるのさ。お前にも今学友としかできないことが。まいいか。楽しそうで何より。学生らしくなんてわざわざこんな時にまで言う必要はないよな。その様子なら余計な心配だったかもな。明日からも俺はお前たちのくるくる変わる顔を眺めよう。
You sound kind of sad.
一つとて同じ日はないってことは。
Well, you have to complete my chapter 15 scenario in order to unlock the bonus dialogue, so I can't really clarify.
いいさ。お前が難しく考える必要はない。俺が送るのはここまでだ。
Trying to get into it. I mean, I usually get into these things. I'm liking Mononobe. I never disliked Mononobe's lines here. But it's more like Ded and Triton are kind of just they're kind of caricatures of themselves in the story writing in terms of they just say, oh, I care about the students more. No, I care about the students more. And, you know, they're kind of like even less personality here somehow on top of that. Meanwhile, you know, Ziz is kind of just talking about how she set up the ceremony, so the logistics of it. And Shenlong's just like, oh, don't be a troublemaker, which is the only thing he has ever said ever. So I'm like Mr. Monomi though, so I'm glad that we're ending off the anniversary with them, at least. You can tell it's fancy because of how they're not showing signs of overwork. Ouch. I can't about you too, Sabi. How dare you leave me alone, Mononobe?
お帰りなさいませ、主様。え、やけに元気だって？ふふ、寝起きですから。主様が夜にお部屋パーティーしようって言ってくれたの、とっても楽しみでしたからね。
I mean, I don't know. Maybe they kiss if you do chapter 15. I wouldn't know.
特別な飾り付けとかは用意できてないですけど。 I'm not
sure what you're getting at with them switching voices. Are you not a fan of Labe's voice or something?
8周年の大興奮バッチリお祝いしちゃいます。どうします？お部屋カラオケパーティーゲーム？あ、こんなのもありますよ。激バズ必至のおうちライブセット。
If I remember to play this again, then I'll play it again. Helen Drac. Hey, Viral Influence reference. I absolutely love Viral Influence's anniversary though. That was like peak, for sure. DJ サロモン君のクラブダンスショーなんてのもよよ。さあさあ、それはこれからですよ。主様。Was he saying yo yo in his Salmon voice? Kind of rookie. Master performer over here. At bats for the party butler. I'll take some super huggy plan. いいでしょう、いいでしょう。主様のサロモン君が一緒の時間をお届け。We hear high pitched run. They are the same voice actor, so yeah. これからも僕がずーっと一緒にいますからね。Aw, little someone. You better be. All right, and the moment you've been waiting for. Oh, did you see? I guess you played chapter 15. I'm not sure if it's a sequence or not, but hey, thank you for gifting 20 memberships. Jesus Christ. Holy crap. Wow, Jesus Christ, Lynn. Thank you for the huge splash. Well, I'll use this opportunity to add some more emojis, but yeah, Lynn is the OG supporter of the channel. Thank you so much for big support. Big love from Canada. Lynn is absolutely crazy. But yeah, we have 8 anniversary tickets. Awesome stuff. That is actually quite a lot of spam going on in chat. Not quite what I was expecting. It looks like everyone got a membership. Enjoy the emoji. There's gonna be more added now because, yeah. There is a limit to how much I can add based on the members. But yeah, we will now be reviewing the ticket choices. Everyone spam your drawing emotes, which you can now use. Enjoy the yelling, what's called special effects on screen for a little while. Bear with it. But yeah, what are we gonna do now? As I lose my train of thought to that. We are going to... What are you doing now? This will end eventually, trust me. We're going to go to review our ticket options right now. So we're going to Envari shop, I believe. And we will be exchanging event items. So, the moment you've been waiting for. First off the bat, so the rainbow ticket. For permanent 5 stars. I have made an entire video on this. I'm not even sure if there's like any point in me covering this again. But I guess I should give my thoughts now that... Okay, maybe I should find a way to mute. That's actually quite annoying. Goodbye. No more alerts for now. There will be no more alerts for the rest of the stream. Jesus Christ. But yeah, for this, I'm not sure if it's worth talking about too much besides my thoughts on what might have changed based on the new units. So, I did recommend Ded before, and, you know, I recommended, what's it called, Oscar after. It is a bit funny that, what's it called, Mononobe kind of replaces both in terms of the 5-star mentor role from Ded, as well as what's called the board wiper that is reliable and has big damage from Oscar. My other recommendations, I guess, if you manage to snag what's called, if you already have Oscar or Ded, or if you already managed to snag Mononobe, I guess you could pull instead for units such as I would personally go for Loki or Ellie for my own choice, but everyone else is kind of like fair game, honestly. There's no one particularly busted besides Oscar himself. Lucius is nice for boss killing. I should go ordered. I should go in order. Yes, 5-star Mononobe is good. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend Kengo. I would not recommend Oniwaka. Well, Oniwaka is okay for buff copying, but you know, he's not like for Rainbow Ticket. I don't know about that. Claude, no. Licht, no. Duo, no. Kotaro, no. Macan, no. Gabriel, maybe. Wait, what? Snow is a bit outdated now. I wouldn't recommend him, but he's like still okay if you get him for that defensive and healing and CP chargeful. Babalon, no. Chernobog, he's okay for the flat damage. I did recommend him. Zabaniyya, no for thrust damage. That's pretty much all he does, kind of shit, honestly. Tsathoggua, no, he has board-wide movement, but there's like a few other choices now, including Zao, who is reprinting right now from top of some mountains. Ahab, he's quite good for moving, for healing and chargeful and defense, just like Snow, but he does it better than Snow. So that's why he's quite versatile for that. Tangaroa, no. Kurogane, no. Ophion, no. Aizen, no. He is kind of like a Snow, but like with that bind. But you know, it's just like get Ahab, I guess. Bind is whatever. Wakan Tanka, he has combo on phase start around him and some amp and extend movement, but I wouldn't recommend him. He's okay though if you do get him. Shino, he's like only good for if you want countdown on the entire board with Oz, but that is very situational and not good for farming. It's only good for memes really. So to your discretion, I wouldn't say it's a great choice though. Horkeu Kamui, very strong, all around purpose, defense and debuff negation and healing, and I believe even chargeful. He just like does a shit ton of everything. Tajikarao, no, he just pushes units to the left and pierces damage at thrust range. Gyumao, no, hopefully he'll get an Evo of some kind. I mean, he already got one, but he's just a bit unreliable, and you know, his charge uptime isn't great. Aegir, no. Surtr, no. Hungrishnir, no. Takamaro, no. Tokyoin, no. Korbakur is okay for memes when it comes to free stacking. He is the only unit with free stacks. But other than that, if you don't have any plans to play around with free stacks, then no. Labe, definitely not. No, 0 chance. Do not get Labe. Unless you like him, I guess. But then, you know, you will be the clown. You will have to put on the clown shoes if you do get him. Have Faceless, no. Sonic Kumara, no. Pascali Paco, no. He does have like, if you don't move him, he goes Vigor or something. It's not impressive though. And then Louis Trap. There are quite a number of people who decided to redeem Labe and then big clown moment. Yakov is, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Jacob, whatever. No, his damage is actually quite weak despite being blow range was an Evo. So it's like, you're better off getting him Lucius at that point if you want the big blow range damage. Heracles, no. He does a big shot damage, but that's more an issue of like shot damage not really being, or column clearing not really being something I would personally want to recommend generally, unless there's like some utility to it. Horus, probably not. He does have like guts utility, but there's like better people who can do it. Tsathoggua, like come on. I mean, if you want to do the Yan board white stuff, then sure, but it's like there's been better strategies since release. It's like, don't worry about it. But he's good for buff stacking, advantage memes. That's pretty much it though. It's very situational. I wouldn't recommend him otherwise, but I did recommend him because that is one thing that he is still, uniquely good at. Daikoku, he's okay for that defensive passiveness. Not too many that can give passive defense. You don't have to move them in order to enjoy it, and passive healing as well. There's also Shiva if you have a Christmas Ryota or a Summer Behemoth, quite good. Ellie, she does quite a lot, but in practice she's like a bit underpowered, so probably not get Ellie, honestly. You're probably not going to use her because she's not very refined enough in terms of purpose. She just moves around and like debuffs the team and the enemies and prevents them from acting efficiently. Yoritomo is an okay choice. He does have local amp and board wide amp. It's a bit contradictory with his turn order though. The new concentration evo as well as his turn start limit. Felsaslav is okay. He does have like defense, I believe, as long as he has one debuff up, or curse rather, and he removes his debuffs every time he uses it. It's just like a tank setup, although he's a bit of a selfish tank, honestly, so I'm not sure how useful you'll find a selfish tank. Akio Ganyan, he's alright. He's good. He's uniquely good for just denying enemy approach with his pushback. Not too many units can do that really, but it's not an essential thing to have an option to push back people. He's just worth as a thought at this point. Yeah, kind of. Well, much worse, honestly. They're not even comparable. Did not move him, and using buffer debuff to support him with board wiping. Yeah. I mean, you don't really need to move, you shouldn't move Shiva and you shouldn't move Daikoku. I mean, you can move him, but like, probably not. Tindalos, he's okay if you want like to stall for long turns. He's like, there's not too many quests that can beat Tindalos, but it's like, it's slow. It's like you have to wait 3 turns for his wipe every time, so that's not great, obviously, for optimal farming. That's the main reason why he gets a low score, not because he can't beat quests, but because he does it very slowly. There's better ways to do things. Fushi is okay for amp, but pretty much his only relevance now is with Shiva. I know he has that 4 times amp, but like, Yule gives a 4 times amp. Like, the only reason why I do want his 4 times amp is just for Shiva, because he doesn't remove it. Otherwise, like, Fushi is no longer like a particularly good board wide amp option. Sandayu has never been like particularly great, so I would not recommend him. Turing, not great. He does have that buff removal, but there are better options for that now. If you do have them, there's not too many options still. I think there's like Kalki's Christmas variant as well as Nomad's Christmas variant, and you could probably just overcome Ramu's defenses with overwhelming damage too at that point. He's okay. Perrin, he's okay for board wide or board wipes. I still think he's the strongest board wipe for any game in terms of raw damage by himself. It's just the problem is that it's just for like the 1 turn and maybe the 4th turn, which is even weaker. But yeah, it's like, it's situational. If you want like just an instantly strong wipe, Perrin is technically the best option for that. But 1 wipe is obviously not the way to go. Takumi Nakata for the same reason as what's called Sandayu or Tsukiyomi or Heracles. I wouldn't recommend him just because even though he's good at what he does for combo clear, it's not like there's not much utility bundled in with it to justify it. Ulaanbaatar is a debuff mitigative unit, I believe, that takes advantage or has increased damage when he has nullify debuff, as well as has buff piercing. He's kind of limit range though. He does have some charge fill. He's kind of like mixed use, and there's not really an exceptional case to use him besides beating Ramu maybe, but he's not even the best choice for it. Kusha is okay. He's kind of like a comp tier. He does have a bit more supportive utility when it comes to tall naps because he does have that extended movement, but it's still not that great. His personal damage isn't that great either. So I wouldn't recommend him. Amdusias, I would recommend. I actually did not recommend Amdusias before. I had to modify my video after he got his Evo because I did have Amdusias written down because he was part of that 1 random pickup. But yeah, I'd recommend him now. He just has relevant, very high damage at over 1 million with his blow range and near 500,000 damage per square when he is at his magic range, which he got from his evolution. Quite useful for boss killing enemies in the back as well as in the front now. Oscar, it's like the best unit here, honestly, by a large margin. No one can even come close. Ahurumasa is quite good too, but I didn't recommend him because it might be a bit hard to remember what he does, and also it's also somewhat situational. Like he has like some solo carry utility, but it's weird guts after getting hit thing. And he does have a lot of damage and potential, but that it's dependent on like burn and conflagration or something. So it's like very team dependent, and you know, I'm not sure if you want to bother remembering all that in your head. Loki, I would recommend him. I kind of wanted him along with Gabriel, but you know, I'm paying the Oscar tasks here. And lastly, Shamash. Do not get him. He's just like after he finds an unlimited range, and I don't even know what else he does. It's like flat damage if he gets it, which is not very reliable. Anyways, do I want Oscar though? Now that I have, do I want Oscar still? Now that I have this trash, this what's it called? Loki, or what's called Mononobe? That's a good question. I was planning to get Oscar, but maybe I should get someone else now that I have a Mononobe. That's a tough call. I don't know. What do you guys think? Speaking of Summer Oz, do no pick up in top to promo. Do have him in pickable. I'll be talking about the what's called the platinum tickets, of course, too. Man, this is tough. Should I get Oscar or should I not bother since I have Mononobe? The problem with Mononobe is he disables his teammates a bit with his face start effects, so that might be a bit tricky. It might still be worth getting Oscar. If I don't go for Oscar, I would personally go for, this is just for me, not for recommendation for everyone else. I would go for Loki or Gabriel because they do have that utility. You can use Oscar and Mononobe together. I guess I could. Yeah, I guess I'll just get Oscar. I will just have to pull for Loki or Gabriel and some random pickup else. Or, you know, hope for another rainbow ticket next year or some shit. Alright. Well, no regrets now, or I can't regret anything anymore. Totally another Oscar for more CP damage. Oh, gotcha. I am now not outside of the Oscar club anymore. Hopefully I don't have second thoughts. But yeah, let's go ahead and look at the... What's it called? This is the platinum tickets. Yeah, let's look at the platinum tickets now.
Oh, yo, Hasu.
8周年の特別交換所はこちらっと。実はこっそり見てたんだぞ、これ。俺の。
Alright. So, as you can see, we can take any permanent 4-star here.
慎重に選び、悔いなく使うんだぞ。
But yeah, my general recommendations are, first off, don't get any of these permanent 4-star equips. They're like, they're not boosters. They're not worth it. They're like, you'll never use these except for challenges, in which case you don't even need to use them at that point because the units are plenty strong. As for these equips over here, it seems they didn't rerun the ones the legacy equips that reprinted last year's anniversary. So this is probably the last time you'll see them until, you know, whenever they decide to show them an anniversary again. Not next year though. So, would I recommend these ARs? I would not recommend this one. It's a token booster that gives a CP fill. The CP fill is quite nice, but in practice, I never really got a chance to use it too often for anything particularly great. This is the Blossom booster. You may want to get it. It is pricey though because you'll need like 5 copies. So I only really recommend these if, you know, what's it called? You are only missing one of them or a few dupes of them. This is the one that boosts rank EXP, the Tycoons one, rank EXP as well as coin. It's a staple, of course, but it's tricky to decide if you want to pick these or not. This one only boosts tokens, but it does have a good effective limit, so you might also want to get this. Yeah, it's to your discretion. It's a gamble. It's not like a best investment, and which is why you really just need to stop getting everyone. Just stop getting a single dupe. Or stop skipping it, just get them all. I don't know what's wrong with you, just get all the dupes. Seriously, this never needs to be an issue if you just purchase all the dupes with free rainbow shards in Anvari shop. Never let this be purchasable on that anniversary, please. I'm just angry that I even have to talk about this. Seriously, stop skipping these, Jesus Christ. But anyways, rant over. It really isn't. The only excuse you'll want to get these is if you're a brand new player, but at that point you're wasting half of your anniversary goods just on some legacy equips. I don't know. It's not even worth it then. It's only worth it for people who manage to miss only a few and didn't max them for some reason. It's like, no, just stop. Oh my god, yeah, I know. I'm like, right? I think like people who only get like one dupe are sociopaths. It's like, oh, you know, half. It's like it has more impact with one dupe, but it's less impact with like all of them. Like, shut up. No, what are you talking about? What are you even talking about? Like, you got twice the amount. I know it costs more, but like, what is this economy of gains you're calculating here? Jesus Christ. All right. So, if you remember correctly, the Battle Days was farming with Tsathoggua, Jesus. But yeah, as for the permanent 4-stars, recommendations, right, I'll get to that after. My first recommendations, obviously, are gonna get the skill seeds, and normally, level seeds are discretional if you want to show off or not. Last year I didn't get them all, but this year I'm gonna go get them all. Coin is also a good pick. You can only exchange a bit more for these, but it's also like not necessary because you can farm for coin. These are also farmable. They're good, but like, you know, you can farm them technically. We did get a new seal booster too, which, right, I need to talk about that. There are 2 new equips. What's it called? Where's the other equip? Oh yeah, let's go to Invari Shop real quick. I'll be back there quickly. Oh yeah, there is a new equip in Invari Shop. Come on. Right. Along with the new god materials. What are they called? They're not translated yet. Where's this trash? There it is. Mononobe sweating profusely as he fucks Kirito. Anyways, this one is a... It gives protection to the ally in front on like Blue Face End or something. So quite good, effect-wise, defensively, but not good for farming in terms of its effect. Although it is good for the boost. It boosts blossoms, so that is helpful, for sure. The new attribute is not transient yet, to my understanding. I'm not sure yet. I haven't looked that hard. But it's either God or Divine. Oh, yeah. So that's the first new equip. The second new equip we got was actually, you saw earlier from the login rewards, it was the one with, I think it had Season face or something, I forget. But that one, it actually is supposed to heal you, or heal allies adjacent to you after buffing at a 40% rate, as well as increasing the seal drop rate. Now, I need to point out here, for anyone in Life Wonders watching, where is it? For Life Wonders spies watching right now, you have incorrectly implemented this according to the game data. This seal booster here. Wait, where is it? Where's the seal booster? Yeah, you see it's not sorting properly because it actually does not have the seal boost properly implemented. Let's sort this by what we can level. So this one over here is supposed to boost seals, but as you saw from the filter, it does not actually boost seals. It's very dumb that they failed to do that. So even though it says it's a boost here, the game data shows it clearly does not. So it was improperly implemented. So don't farm for seals quite yet. This is not functioning properly, so you're gonna be wasting your effort putting this in your seal farm team if you're gonna be farming immediately. But you can, because there is a half stem going on right now. I'll show that off later, but yeah, this is unfortunate. This one's working fine. The Blossom boost, that's good for everyone. This one, seal boost, unfortunately, I mean, I don't have the seal farm enemies, but for those that do, very unfortunate that we're being lied to our face here. Very sad. Yeah, anyways, send a report to Life Wonders, or maybe Life Wonders is watching, because that's an embarrassing flub. But yeah, let's return back to the recommendations here. Where can you farm seals? That is farmable after you complete Chapter 15. But yeah, let's go back to the anniversary shop. And please stop giving me these people you don't care about. There you go, let me. So yeah, these seals, they are farmable. I would say, you know, they're okay to get because they actually did increase the amount of units you can dispatch now. As you can see here from what's it called? God, money management is making my head explode. Affiliations, we can now switch over to 3 different members, where it was previously just a maximum of 2. So as an example, I could not move more people to Beast Tamers. which I am using for my dungeon runs so that Jet can equip the Beast Tamer's EXP booster. But now I can move one more unit in. I'll probably maybe moving in Mononobe or some shit like that. Who knows? I don't know. But yeah. So that is one of the new features in this game alongside the new attribute. Moving back to the thing. The best features so your gunners can use ARs from other guilds. Yeah, it is quite an amazing feature. So this is why I'm conflicted on this, even though it is farmable. One, the new seal booster isn't working properly, and two, it's actually a very good item. It's just that it's uniquely good in that it's good for a few certain amount, and then after a certain point, like, you don't need more. It's like a must-have item, but you don't really need to have a large stock of it. Once you move enough people to whatever farm teams you need, that's like it, right? You don't really need to move people to different guilds at that point. Guild Alliance certificates, however, are an interesting choice. They're still not farmable, so they might be worth your time. I'm not sure though, because like our guilds are strong enough. The quests haven't been that difficult, so maybe this year I'll skip them. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't fully decided yet. I'm not going to be spending all my tickets right now. Maybe I'll spend a few though. Do not get blossoms and do not get seeds. They are very easily farmable. 50 and 30 are a disgrace compared to how much you can get very easily just from doing a bit of farming. And do not get owner medallions for sure. Actual trash. So let us go ahead and talk about the permanent 4 stars. I know you've been waiting for this. So Shino, he recently printed with an Evo. Quite nice. What is he worth getting? I mean, honestly, I'm just gonna, for all units right now, I'm just gonna say, if you're your favorites, go ahead and get them, because there are no actual super worthwhile 4 stars to get. Like absolute must-haves. Nothing like Yule, which you can redeem for Variety Japanese, or like Oscar, which is like even somehow identified by Mononobe at this point. But compared to everyone here, the 4 stars don't really have some super essential units to pick up, which means that your personal preference matters most here. With that said, if you're still looking for units that I'd recommend in terms of your 4 stars, I'm going to be quite stringent here, so even though units might be good, I'll be harsh with including them among my recommendations. The reason why I'm going to be thorough here is because I'm not going to be covering a very detailed analysis on my video. It's just going to be like 2 units I'm covering, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, Ashido, good for fear management, but I would not recommend him. Kengo, he's okay for boss killing, but like, there are better options at this point, even at a larger range. Ryoto, he needs help. He's not great. Toji, he's just double bind, not great. Hanuman has an Evo, but it's kind of hard to remember. It's like evasion or something. Sorry about that. I'm just like clearing my face a bit. But yeah, Maria is not great. She's okay for like guaranteed Ara's back. I hope you enjoy the backside. Unlike these bozos in this game, I actually have a backside. I'm not just the front-facing character the entire time. But yeah, Maria is not great. She's pretty strong in terms of like what she does for a free 4 star, but it's nothing must have. She like guaranteed skill lock and like has stigma or something. Christine, the board wiper that we all have come to know and love, the turn 1, she's kind of weak though. She did get an Evo recently, which makes her a bit more useful outside of just that turn 1 charge. So if you are still collecting Christine dupes, I guess you can, but like, let's be real, there are better options at this point. Oritaka, no. Just like freeze at slash range, not great. Fenrir, no, he has never received an Evo since launch, and he's not that great. He's just like blind when we hit. Actually got a push and break on hit, not great. So no. Asterius, like decently strong, honestly. I forget what he does. It's like pulling units in or something like that on thrust range, and he does have a lot of immobilization and increased damage. But I'd still say no. Gangwei, well, it depends, but it's thrust range, so probably not going to be so farming. Gangwei is good for challenges though, in terms of like passive defense. So I'd recommend him, but like it's not necessary technically. you can get like Yama Sachihiko from Unvariety Shop, for example, for a similar effect of passive defense. So, you know, he's still good, but is he like worth getting? You probably have him at this point. He's an old unit. Ikutoshi? No. He's like evasion turn 1, and like he attacks with extra damage on turn 2. You do not need to wait that long for thrust range damage. Shinya, good on paper in terms of what he does, removes damage amps, but terrible in execution because it only lasts for 1 turn, so like any sort of retaliative damage, they can easily get on you, so he's not a great unit. Definitely do not redeem him. Kenta, he recently received an evolution. He's still not great. He's a bit of a solo, what's it called, skirmisher, whatever. Ita is quite good, as Nero Pound is saying. He can eliminate Ramu quite easily, or in very least remove his defense buffs. If you're not facing Ramu anymore, though, or if you ever have a solution to Ramu, you don't really need to get him because Ita is kind of like irrelevant outside of this that one very irrelevant Ramu's attack quest. Choji, not good. It's just like healing or something. A mix of healing buffs, not great rates. Jugo, never got an Evo. I don't even know what he does. It's like, what's he even do? Like, Brawn or something like that. He's got like a Shigoro button thrust range. Macan, bind on charge to everyone, but it's kind of awkward to build up. So no, don't do that. Temujin, he does have a damage amp to all his allies in 2 square diamond radius once he's at 100 CP. I believe that amp is like a crit or a crit plus even, I forget which, but it's quite strong. If you do have a charge setup, he might be worth getting, honestly. He does have quite a bit going on in his kit, but you know, this is only for the most extreme team builders with a lot of charge fill. And you know, he's still not particularly great, but he's like worth considering if you like experimenting with charge teams. Garmer, no, just like base start crit plus or something like that. Makara at thrust range. Makara 0 damage with evasion to allies behind him and excellent vertical movement. Not great. Azazel, he has weakness and skill lock, and that's a pretty good combination. He might have one other debuff on top of that. Maybe remove buff actually. So Azazel is actually surprisingly a recommend. I never use him just because I keep on forgetting he exists, and there are better options that I have. But for like a free 4-star you can redeem, he does quite a lot at magic range. Good, like decent damage, decent disabling, and decent utility in general. All quite reliable. Kushi, I'd recommend him. He has quite a large plethora of debuffs. He's kind of like the Value Summer Host in terms of just playing with a bunch of debuffs. Like, he doesn't really play with them so much as he just spits a bunch out. But it's like, there's so much that I can't even remember them all. It's like, there's Countdown, of course, which he started with, but now he has like Confusion, and maybe he has Madness. No, he doesn't have Confusion, does he? I don't even know. Suffice to say, he has at least 4, maybe even 5 different debuffs he cycles around though. So quite powerful if you're playing around teams that you want to debuff the enemy a lot, such as with I believe like Ulaanbaatar has advantage against every debuff, things like that. Gunzo, not great. I forgot what he does, it's just like lovesick. So Berserk plus, and that's it. Marchosias, not great. He has some defensive utility with extended movement, but it's like it's giving Gen 1. It's giving like it's not giving, it's giving like an empty plate. Nobuharu, he did receive that. Actually, never mind. I was thinking it was a variant, but he's not great anymore. He gives like attack ahead of them, but it's like whatever. Kyoma does have that decent damage for column clearing right out of the box, guaranteed, with evasion piercing. So he's staple for farming column clearings, but like, do you really not have any other like column clearers that can pierce evasion? Kyoma's good if you really are just starting and don't have any, but like, it's like it's a bit much. Or that random video call I got. Let's see, Kagutsuchi. He is trash. Do not get him. He has Ardor on move, I think. Yeah, Ramu's the duel with Crystal Sushi because he has like some of the highest column clearing damage in the game. What's it called? R19. Surprisingly, he's like someone worth maybe considering just because he does have that board-wide amp if it was acceleration, which is somewhat relevant given Curren's release, since Curren's both her 3-star and her 5-star gives board-wide acceleration to all allies and herself. So maybe consider R19 if you want that, but you know, that's pretty much the only thing you'll remember RT9 for. He has some crit, but it's not reliable. Alice, uniquely able to remove all buffs and debuffs on the enemy. as well as apply Dazzle to mitigate, and she might have possession too, but it's not great in practice because like in theory it could work, but I've never seen anyone use Alice after all these years, despite that Evo having quite a general range. If you want something unique, Alice might be good, but it's unlikely you'll use her simultaneous buff and debuff removal for anything. Jumbavon, he actually has some of the biggest single target healing in game, but he's trash, so he does not have the ability to survive on his own, and it's not great. Don't use Jumbavon. Lucifuge, he has paralysis, so preventing them from moving as well as reducing their damage, but it's not great. Don't use Lucifuge, it's kind of irrelevant. He's like defensive utility essentially. Hati, trash, Brawn on move, guaranteed, that's all he does really. And Bogist, he has kind of like Turing's ability at home in terms of chains of misfortune. He inflicts like obstruct and like maybe stigma or something, and at a chance if he moves. But that is getting annoying. I'm called from extended family right now. But yeah, that's it. He received an Evo that makes him a bit of a, show off solo carry unit. Not great, don't use him. Kuniyoshi, don't use him. He has beast advantage against beasts, but that's kind of rare too. Just if you see like an advantage effect against a skill, like don't even bother. Kuniyoshi is like the biggest example of that. Despite there being such a large category of units that have, that particular skill, Blood of the Beast, he's still useless because it's like the great majority of enemy units do not have it. Motosumi, he is trash, Omega trash. He has some charge fill and healing, and he has like weapon resistance to blow or something, but he's trash. Don't use him. We know that we would go with 5-star passive, and that's why Ara doesn't cover him. Sure. Kelki, he's quite strong due to his board-wide, his weapon change to all range. He does need a debuff to activate it and get going though. But if you have Hawkman, then you don't really need Kelki at that point. That is to say, if you have Hawkman's new variant, her Tokyo Dancing Saturday variant. Kelki just lacks or has some issues with reliability as well as issues with losing his all range on his charge. So it's situation for maybe farming, but not really. Mostly just like some challenges. Nomad, I've used him for farming before. He has a few evos that increase his movement as well as give amps to left and right, but he lacks some reliability when it comes to his left and right amps for crit. So would I get him? Probably not. Gandharva, definitely not. No evos, trash. Gambler skill. Lots of tip. He's quite quirky. I would say get him if you want something silly for challenges, but he's not really great in challenges per se. More so he breaks them in ways that are unintended. So if you just want some silliness, maybe get him, but it's like it's not helpful. It's just silly what he does. Shuten, don't get him. He's just like brawn and protection or something like that, defense up to his allies. Pollux, quite possibly the worst unit in the entire game. Do not get him unless you want to see what the actual worst trash in the entire game is. With 0 damage amp and a chance at evasion and guts, so you can keep him alive, so he can continue doing fucking nothing. But yeah. Taurus Mask. Unlike his variant, it's quite good actually. If you manage to have Gurren Gotch, he's much worse than Saturnus, trust me. Saturnus is just the worst unit we've had in quite a while, but Pollux is just the worst overall in the entire game. Taurus Mask is quite good if you use Gurren Gotch because he does have a guaranteeable charm after he's hit, and he does have evasion on base start. So that's obviously the best way to exploit charm instantly in this game right now, at least reactive charm. We still don't have a good way for instant charm on the entire board though. Jiraiya recently received a utility evo. He's okay. He just lacks a bit of reliability sometimes. So if you're missing on utility options and don't want to bring Chemo, I guess you can bring Jiraiya, but it's, reliability is not there as much as I'd like, so I'm not sure if I'd recommend for farming really. I'm doing it one by one, calm down. I'll get to the soft sleeves eventually. I'm not even halfway through, Jesus Christ. Okay, maybe we should speed up. And right, no, do not get him. You're better off just getting a 3-star if anything. But he has that coin bonus. Ibaraki, pure damage for calm clearing, not great. There's so much others you can do now that do a lot more, so don't get him. Or don't get Horkeu Kamui's permanent 4-star. He's just like defense to one ally. So, Tajikarao is a pretty good option, honestly. If I were to say the strongest combination you can get that also would make the game very boring right now, between getting Oscar and Oscar, of course, trivializes the game, but between the platinum tickets as well as the 4-star pick, there's a combination you can do where if you get Tajikarao and Smoky God along with 2 other units from the limited ticket and the limited 5-star pick ticket, you can kind of trivialize the game. She is really good because she has decent or slightly better than decent damage, so she can actually be used for farming despite her limited range with a Summer Pool Oz. And the reason why you'd want to use her is because she has the most utility effects combined in her kit. Between remove 3 different buffs, as well as, board wide amp, as well as, what's it called? Skill locking the enemy and being resistant to skill lock herself. She has quite a lot going for her that can just disable the enemy while wiping them at the same time, and removing any defenses, any evasion, any guts they may have. So one of the best options for sure. Hogan, no. I mean, he's good for crit damage and movement, but like, it's just limited to slash, so you're gonna be, that's like for very slow plays. He also has a bind, which is nice. Melazine, not very great because it's just like crit on chance, and she has extended movement and some chance of buff steal, but it's like, no, it's not gonna be that useful because it's not guaranteeable. He's technically a type of girl you date, technically, yeah. Arsalan, no, do not get him. His Evo did not help him at all. He's just like unction to allies left and right or some shit like that. Ifrit, I mean, contender for the worst for sure, although I still think Pollux is much worse. He has a board wide amp, but it's not accessible. Or sorry, he has a board wipe, but it's not accessible until he gets rid of his own CS lock, and his board wide charge is not even that strong. It's CS locks the enemy. But yeah, not great. Hakumin, not great. Her only thing is she shares with her like variant, her first variant as well, which is just a limited range charm on phase start. Pretty reliable, but you know, it's like nothing to write home about. There's an AR that does it in pressure. There's the Ellie AR that inflicts charm on short range, and there's also the Anniversary Ben 10 AR, which lets you inflict charm and slash range. So it's kind of like, you don't need Hakumin for charm at that point. Typhon, he pushes enemies at the same time as maybe oppressing them. Probably not oppressing them, just like flat damage. But, you know, he's not very great. Shalotl, not good. All he does is just like regeneration and evasion behind him. Tomo, not great. Very mid. Guts to his entire team. It's like Guts tanking for his entire team, but it's, I don't really like the rates. It's technically possible, but you need to hit a lot of enemies to get it going. Bolus's only thing is bestowing combo. Everything else is kind of relevant, and there are better units to bestow combo than Bolus. Bolus is like pretty much the last unit you ever pick to bestow combo with. Robinson, he like misses and has damage, don't use him. Krampus, don't use him. He like actually does almost nothing. Very low rate amps locally. Thunderbird, piercing and damage, but his damage is a bit unreliable. He does have extended movement, so he's like a shaky choice for calm care farming. He's not great though, so I wouldn't get him. Musashi, I would not get him, but he is decent otherwise. He does have like Hogan, like crit. He does have like a bit of a Robinson effect in terms of if he misses, he gets increased damage and combo, but it is nothing amazing. Amatsumara has a board. He can push enemies by 3 squares. That's kind of like his only unique thing, so don't get him. He's below range. Durga is someone who is I don't even know how to describe Durga. She amps her allies beside her and has like damage to herself. I don't think she has guts. She might have guts, but like she's kind of risky to play with. Tetsuwax, he does have increased damage if he manages to get rage plus when he's hit. So he's just good for big damage. Maybe get Tetsuwax if you want like big challenge damage, but it's not exceptional. Shuichi, don't get him, he's trash. Suzuka, just like actually very good with their Evo. she's good for farming and for challenges now because she has like huge damage with her crit plus chance as well as her vigor that she started off with. But I believe she also now has like curse or like non-debuff weakening and something about the first 3 turns. She's very strong now. Damage wise, massive damage. So yeah, Suzuka, definitely a recommendation you might want to consider. Yobu, he's much like Kushi in terms of he just has a shit ton of debuffs. So I'd recommend him if you want something quirky in terms of a debuff selection that you can then exploit. And I believe it doesn't even overlap with Kushi, so that's kind of interesting. Some of the debuffs he has includes like darkness as well as like heal reversal, and it's a very strange selection. Seth, he's okay. It's guaranteed skill lock if he's hit, and some defense and healing if he's buffed maybe. And curse on enemies. And anchor board wide. It's defensive utility, but it's not really defensive utility I care too much about. Since it's mostly reactive, and it's there are better sources for healing. Ebisu, do not get him, he's trash. Low range crit. With pull. Arc, do not get them. They are actually they're okay. I forgot their evo. They have it's shaky range, so I'm not a big fan of how it's not guaranteeable in any sense of the term, whether it's the effect or applying the effect. But the effect is nice once it does go off in terms of having a chance at bind on the enemy when they're hit. It's good for a particular setup of team builds where you are attacking the enemy multiple times board wide. So this is especially good for units like Echo, but anyone that you can get board wide. If you're doing a team of board wipers, then Arc would be an okay choice for that. As a sauce, do not get him, get his variant instead. Behemoth, he's okay for board wide pull. He pulls now guaranteeably out of the box by 2 squares, so that's nice. Goodness, I have not read anything in a while here. Musashi can do he can do damage, yeah, but damage is not enough. There's like a lot of units that can do damage like Dornman. That doesn't mean I'm gonna recommend them. Arc is the only Genstar who isn't 5-star. I mean, they have a 5-star in their variant, so their variant's okay though. So, back on track. Ziz does a lot of healing and charge fill, but it's like it also kind of is a risky because she charge fills the enemy too. She can do a bit of gut stanking, but it's like I'm not a fan of it. It's like it's any sort of thing that you have to hit multiple enemies to not to get an effect going off multiple times. I'm not a big fan of, and it's a very small amount too. Yeah. Miniaki, don't get him. He didn't receive an Evo yet. He has a chance at evasion when he's hit to the entire team, I believe. Tetsuya, do not get him. He has a chance of guts when he's hit, so he's only annoying to face. He's not actually useful to play with. Reiki, who is in this pickup, maybe just pull for him instead if you want to get him. But he does have that after debuff. Get a few other amps, and he does remove debuffs on his charge as well as when he moves, I believe. So he's good for debuff-centric teams or in regular teams that are facing debuffs. Avarga, interesting pick. He has 3 stars better just for dungeons, but his 4-star, I've never really used them despite him having a pretty good effect of resisting all damage mitigating debuffs. He has extended movement and evasion, but other than that, it's like limited range won't really make it that great at thrust. Algernon, he's not particularly great. He is able to... What's he even doing this 4-star? I think he has like some survival or like solo-ish carry utility. He reduces his own damage by quite a lot, or his own health by quite a lot, but he doesn't really even have guts is the problem. So he's very risky to play with as a result. You need someone to guts carry him, and even at that point, it's like use a different setup. Oze, do not use him. He does have some debuffs board wide, like what's called obstruct and like maybe what's the other one? Drain, but it's like that's the only unique thing. It's not worth it. Oz, no, this is the wrong Oz. Don't get him. It's just like fixed damage, flat, and what's called scaling damage only when he gets hit. Otherwise, he's not very reliable. Alp, he did get an Evo, which made him a bit more useful for stalling the enemy with confusion, but it's not great because you still need stall, and it's not my favorite type of unit where you're playing around the character rather than having mechanics that help you play around the quest. Wrong Oz, correct. Furufumi. He's okay for spamming charge fill as well from arousal as well as just giving a free buff. and periodically fearing the enemy, but otherwise, not really someone I recommend. Tigre, do not use him. He pulls the enemies, or he pulls your entire team forward in, rather, and he oppresses the enemy, but that's pretty much it. Goemon, he copies, or rather steals buffs from the enemy and redistributes it to allies. That is on top of his charge reduction. It's like okay, but like I haven't found use for it over the past several years now. I found a few uses for him when he first received his evolution though. So he's okay, but you know, it's like very, very situational. It'll depend on if the Life Owners decides to release more quests like that. But there are better options for buff stealing now, or buff copying, like with what's called Babalon, his variant. There's Licht. He is actually a decent recommendation, I say. Licht has the unique ability of applying CS weapon change to all range once he is at a high enough CP range himself. So that works well with a lot of meme teams when it comes to, you know, giving all range to charges that were not designed to have all range. And the fact that we have a lot more setups available to help us build a charge instantly every turn, with all the charge flows we have, makes him a lot more potent too. Imagine a new player was recommended to go with Oz combo, but then they get these. This is why I'm emphasizing it's wrong Oz. Tomte, he removes debuffs, all debuffs every phase start, and he has a few amps, but he's kind of extremely situational. Like you're probably not ever gonna use him, except for like his debut event. So I wouldn't recommend him. Shenong, he's kind of hyper trash in terms of you have to move him, and he's not reliable for his amps, so don't use him. Yasuori, don't use him. He has some damage and he has countdown and like evasion at a high straight to his ally behind him, but you're not gonna really find particularly great use for him. Echo, I know I keep on consistently rating her low, but she is kind of like interesting in terms of she does have like a monopoly on a unique category of like team building where you just have you focus on hitting all the enemies as often as possible, to exploit effects like Jambavon's break or Nightmare Jambavon's break or Ark's bind or Coco Pelli's a Russian roulette. Echo is uniquely suited to this weird category of team switches, not necessarily very strong, but is also kind of funny, so maybe get her, but she's like honestly one of the weaker ones, even across the ones I don't recommend it, so she's a bit of a funny pick. Leanne and Chi, I don't recommend her because fuck her, she's boring. She's strong though, so if you want someone strong, I guess, but like, come on, there's strong units at this point. Come on. Tanatomo, she has amp to her allies ahead of her, and she can like count down when she dies. But that's like pretty much it. I don't even remember what else she does. She's not great. I keep on saying he's not great. Don't use Yemen. Sorry, don't use Tanatomo. Don't use Tita. He's a single target damage dealer with extended range with a snipe. It's just, it's not that great damage nowadays. So you might as well just use like a board wiper with actual damage. Balor, he is quite good actually. He has this buff refresh every 2 turns. He's like he's the predecessor to what Curren is, because he refreshes all his buffs every 2 turns instead, which he can't really refresh glint or concentration, which makes it not great for reliability, but he still has a lot of damage potential because of his board wide charge, which he gets sometimes only, and he does have a lot of native amp to himself, as well as a lot of defense, so he's a unique pick for challenges. I wouldn't use him for farming ever though. Naja, do not use them. They're kind of like the most quintessential case of a unit who is designed for you to play around them rather than for you to play around the quest, because they do not give a shit about the quest mechanics. They just give a shit about you playing around, moving everyone into position as far away as possible, and like getting additional amp the further you are away from Naja or some bullshit like that. But yeah, Human Kamui, actual garbage. He like has some flat damage if he gets charged, and he has combo, but it's not exceptional. Otohime, good comp creator, but like too much. She's not guaranteed out of the box, and also she suffers so much if she's set with her self weapon change none. So don't get her. Don't get Ketchi. He's a bit too random with his effects. You're never gonna strategize around Ketchi essentially. Tashta, he has weapon change shot and amps his ally but directly out of him, but it's like you're probably not gonna use him. He has some guts as well, and I believe he removes debuffs after being debuffed, but you're not gonna use him. Merodach, he's quite good for challenges. Honestly, I don't use him enough, but that's just because not because he's weak, but more so he's kind of like strong and also situational at the same time. It depends on if you can actually push the units away and make an empty comm. Because if you can, then you can disable the enemies. But if, if there's no place to push enemies or if they're immune to skill lock, then Middledog's not relevant. But if you can, then he has a very good potency of being able to disable multiple enemies while weakening their damage and also making them more vulnerable to damage. Virtro. Unfortunately, not all the 3 geniuses were made equal. He's not great. He has weakness and gun stacks to self. It's not great. Itsamna, he was kind of like a keystone piece when it came to buff refreshing. He still is like a pretty good choice if you want for buff refreshment, but Curren's right there, so I don't know. If you don't have Curren and you don't have any other buff refresh setups, Itsamna is still a staple to get, I guess. But buff refreshing and stuff has kind of fallen off in terms of just instant wiping. Buff refreshing is only really something. While it's strong, it's not something that's considered, great for farming. The Heroic, do not use him. He's just like weapon change meme, which without too much damage and some evasion on phase start. Mephistopheles, you may want to just pilfer him on banner that's currently available. He does have like that Lianin-like effect of applying massive amp. It's just the contract effect which we saw from Kyoma, except that he only applies it to a single target after move. That's pretty much it. He's just like Mononobe, but just that one part. He has like Reflect debuff too, but no one cares about that. It's really just that one part about Mononobe. He doesn't even apply it to himself. And yes, it does suffer from the same effect of just like, they lack the ability to activate their skills every second turn for turn start and phase start effects. He is not someone I'd recommend because, it's like single target amp only. Not gonna be too useful for quick clears. And for farming, I think there are better like single target support units like Zanzo at that point. He does a lot. The contract does a lot between what's called. I believe it increases defense and increases damage and increases the charge you get or fills your charge every turn. And so that's good. But it's like not very interesting, and there are more interesting team synergies out there than just him plus one other unit. Babalon. He has column clearing damage that ramps downwards. Very strong until like turn 3 onwards, and then he just like falls off and becomes mid. I would not recommend him. Masanori. He is a good Oz partner, but I still wouldn't recommend him even if you do have Oz. He possesses all the enemies guaranteedly while inflicting doubt. There's a bit of contradiction there because if you possess them while giving them what's called doubt, then it kind of contradicts with his other abilities of giving buff reversal, which reduces their damage. So like, I don't know. It's not great. He does have that weapon change though, so they will be hitting each other. But that's the only reason you'd ever use Masanori, just with Oz. Not really for any other reason. And it's only for the first turn of every phase. Kruznik, he's strong for comp clearing, but I never use him because comp clearing was just strength. Is not really interesting. Nodens, not great. And so. Alright, give me a second. Longest second you've ever waited for. Okay, so Nodens. He does have that sort of auto movement feature, which makes him kind of like nausea tier in terms of someone you have to play around. He can pull the enemy in, then move left and right, or some weird stuff like that all by himself. He can apply crit. I forgot what his Evo does though. It does something, but it's like it's just there to activate some other thing. It's not great. Maybe he has more damage or something more reliably. Kotobu Plus. He can exist just to taunt the enemy, and if he gets a charge, then he can charm them, but you will never do that. So you'll never charm the enemies with Kotobu Plus. It doesn't matter. You're just gonna use him for taunt, and he can get the same effect from his 3-star, as well as just from Sanzo too, and it's his Sanzo 3-star as well. Smoky God. This is another unit I strongly recommend, alongside Todd and Mighty, with that setup I hinted at before with Walter and Oz from the last anniversary. But it does make the game kind of hyper brain dead. But yeah, he is very generally useful for a lot of team setups. Consider getting him for sure. Yeah, what he does is he just massively increases rates up for the first 50%, or rather, for the first turn of each phase, he increases the rates up by 50%. Very good stuff. Jurong, very strong. Probably like my biggest recommendation, no bias obviously. He refreshes all debuffs on the enemy that he hits, and he has quite a number of debuffs on himself, including burn and conflagration and darkness. Very good stuff, denies the enemy their charge as well as doing a massive amount of flat damage. It's actually insane how much flat damage he's doing. He's one of the few units in the game right now, alongside a main quest step and Chernobog's what's called variant, not his variant, his 5-star. That is well suited for instant flat damage. So flat damage is not generally useful for farming, but like Jurong is one of those rare cases where he makes it semi-viable, because the damage is actually like very significant with how much flat damage you're doing in the right setup. For reference, how he inflicts flat damage is for every debuff the enemy has, he inflicts flat damage while refreshing it. Crazy stuff. During downside, he has to go to bed before 9 p.m. No. Oh well. He needs to be to sleep. Sato Tahiko. Hello, Herbie. We are talking about the Hellhot's persona units now. There are way too many units. I'm getting there though, among the newer units. Sato Tahiko, don't get him. He's just like purification or something, and maybe some amp. Even with his Evo, I don't remember what he does. He's not great. Hote, Junka. He's fantastic to get. You can just see my recent review on him. He's a decent pick to get. He's good for farming now because out of the box with that prayer Evo, he's guaranteed to, give or steal crit anyways from the enemy. And, if he got his charge up somehow, he can stack on top of that with even more damage. So he's good for challenges too because he does have some defense and healing and, extra amp ability. So he's pretty good all around for support, the triple column clearing, as well as for challenges. So, semi-recommend. Probably more than just semi-recommend. Like between semi and like full recommend. Hermes. I keep on forgetting he exists. He's technically good. He has like some weird heal reversal with some heal on the enemy, and flat damage reversal on us as well with flat damage to us. But I wouldn't recommend him. He's a bit too restrictive to play with in terms of he forces you to position yourself or not move yourself in relation to the enemy too much for me to enjoy his team building. Boogeyman. This is another unit that I strongly recommend. So between Jurong and Boogeyman, these are probably my main two picks for this. I know I'm saying like Smoky God and Thunder Mighty are excellent with the Walter setup, but if like ignoring that setup, Jurong and Boogeyman are my strongest picks among the what's called the permanent 4-stars. Boogeyman has the ability to guaranteeably pull all enemies and allies alike every turn. So extremely strong utility for like low range units in general. As long as he misses, that is. And I don't mean just pull like downwards or upwards. He also pulls them towards him. So that's a very unique combination of effects all tied towards this one unit. He does other stuff. It doesn't really matter. I guess he can survive by guts, but that pull by itself makes him like super unique. There's not really anyone else who can do that every turn. Like there's Gordon, but he's a 5-star and it's also not horizontal. So yeah. Barong. He has the ability to try to be a Lianin wannabe, except he kind of fails at it. So don't get him. He's not great. He just like applies an invasion effect himself through the ally in front of him, and crit and like ardor or something like that on alternating turns. Funny enough, Boogeyman gets along with Jurong. Well, yeah, because he's his teacher. Enigma. He is not good, don't get him. He just resists all buffs while copying all buffs, and it's kind of a restricted range for his buff copy. Hecate, she was one of the quintessential units to apply debuffs to your own team, but now that there are more options for it, she's kind of fallen out of here. She still can let you exploit debuffs a bit by, enjoying crit at a chance if you are debuffed, but it's not like something to write home about, really. Now that Yule exists. Yoshito. He's too complicated to use, honestly. He's probably like strong on paper as like a skirmisher or soul carrier or something, but you're not going to use him for that because he's actually just too complicated to remember. Kind of like Quantum Tier in terms of he switches between multiple weapon ranges depending on what you do with them, and he does different things for each weapon range. There's like way too much effort just to know for one unit that's, you know, not exactly hyper carrying. Taishakunin, don't use him. He has like all range resistance. I mean, you might want to use him for a Goringach beam, but it's like it's not great. Isaac, don't get him. He has like some utility effects or, you know, raid up effects to and charge fill effects to allies nearby for the first 10 turns as well himself, and he does have possession on the entire board on his charge. That's probably the main thing you're going to want to use him for. But again, Oz exists, and you can also just use Ellie at that point, variant Ellie to like debuff every unit. Oh my god, I'm really talking about every unit in this game. Jesus, I better hurry. Bapala, he is someone like he's unique. His role is very unique. No one else really does it. He kind of encourages your allies to die by make them a sacrifice. He makes your target a sacrifice. So if you move this behind someone and then they die later on, then you get a bunch of bonuses. And he also picks a single enemy target and makes them weak and stable by like paralyzing them while also giving them all range. So that just like reduces their damage even further. It's I don't know. You're never gonna use Vapula until you remember he does some very weird things. So would not recommend unless you're feeling exceptionally quirky. Ishblanque, don't get him. He's trash. Like, I don't even really just like column clearing, but at thrust range and not really even. I mean, that's shot range, but his amps it's thrust range. It's dumb. You only go to bed, but my explanation is not gonna end anytime soon. Just so you know. Good luck with that. Hecate gives crit plus plus. There's enough debuff for a regular nowadays. I mean, I know she gives crit plus plus, but you got the idea. It's like it's not that unique that it's worth rolling for. Sphinx, as I mentioned before, he is a weapon changer, just like Tonglishner's a new variant, but he's not as reliable. It is for magic range though, so you might want to consider that. He also does provide a ridiculous amount of damage amp, so he technically does work for farming. I would recommend him though, just because of the reliability. Reliability is not that bad though, but it's just not my cup of tea. Seymour, he's kind of situational in terms of healing reversal that's guaranteed out of the box for enemies, as well as some defense, passively and healing. So that can be nice, but you know, it's like I kind of forget that he exists for the passive defense, honestly. He needs to be like far in the back. Would I recommend him? Probably not. Yonrikura, he's fun, but he's also boring. I don't know how to describe this. He has like, I think he's boring, and then I bring it out, and it's like, oh yeah, he feels pretty good. He has a weapon change to magic range, and then he has like a somewhat easy to build up charge to wipe the enemy. But it's, I don't know, defensively he has some options with his vigor strengthening. And then he gives amp when he loses his magic range if he misses. You're not really going to be using him for any specific purpose, but in very least, he gets the job done if you do bring him. I would not recommend him though. Pazuzu, he's a good choice. He removes debuffs on the entire board. Whenever there's a debuff, he essentially just gives everyone that sort of as a possibility, although at a much lower rate. Nobumichi, he copies all buffs from the ally behind him, as well as pushes out enemies towards his thrust range, or I guess to his column, which he may hit with thrust range. As you know, he synergizes Masashi, so consider that. Would I recommend him? Maybe if you have someone like Curren, because she does copy hoard a lot of buffs, so he can copy them easier. But it's hard to team build for units that copy buffs, just so you know. Golden Gotch, definitely a recommend unit, but for the quirkier side, he gives all range to all the enemies, so you're gonna need to know team building very carefully if you build him. It could go very easily against you if you give all range to the enemy, but it could go very well for you too. Yuma, he's okay. He's a board wiper. He's stronger than Christine for sure, better choice than Christine in terms of just raw damage. But though he does he also has some local amp, which is nice, and some board wide amp as long as the ally has tenacity. But otherwise, he's like only an okay option. I guess he's good for dupes if you already have him. I wouldn't recommend him though because there's plenty of board wipers already. Tianzin, he's a mixed support unit. He gives a damage amp, he gives defense amp, he gives healing, and he has a bit of extended movement, and he also prevents force movement. I wouldn't use him. He's a bit too mixed for you to use him for anything really. I mean, he's like flexible enough that he'd be like okay with any quest, but he's never gonna be amazing in any particular quest either, which is fits his lore. Is Curren good? Please rewind to the section I already talked about her. She is quite good, but you do need to know how to team build around her. Seepakli, he is a shot or a combo clear if you move him, and can build up this charge. And he does apply evasion at a very high rate just by missing if you don't move him. So that's quite nice. The evasion is to ally ahead of him. Would I recommend him? No, because I've never really used them in that way. I will say he seems strong on paper, but I just never remembered to use him, and I've never needed to use him, so who knows? Maybe he's actually better than I'm putting on though. Otter. He is not good. He has like freeze to ally or enemies at a lowish range at long slash and can pull enemies in, I believe, but that's pretty much it. Amano Jaku. He has buff reversal is all I remember. Well, I guess the modern name for it is something like what's called reflect buff or some shit like that. Reflect buff reversal. It's not great because buff reversal is hardly a threat, and he's not even like, he doesn't even have a reversal to Mahakala's own special buff reversal. So that's like the only case it would be useful in. So no, don't get him. Right, Hippolytus. He's quite good because, well, for one reason, I mean, he's not that good actually. He's quite bad, but he has one unique thing for sure. Even if he's not good, he's bad. He has turn start uptime for heal HP loss reversal. So units that constant, if there's like constant flat damage going on the board, then Hippolytus, put him on board and you'll be constantly healing instead. This is pretty exceptionally useful when it comes to units like, Smoky God's variant, who just eats at their own health constantly while giving guts. But other than that, it is situational and, very selective in use. So I wouldn't recommend him otherwise. He a cutie though. I might get him. Just out of cuteness. Right. What is this bozo's name again? Belphegor. He is actually quite trash. He has extended horizontal movement and can give some charge faults through various means to the allies ahead of him, especially if they have the love relation, but it's like, you're not going to use it. It's like a kind of a very mid charge fill. Amen Uzume has some impressive charge fill, but it's on attack, so it's like, I don't know if you'll ever want to use it for her charge fill, because while it is a lot, it's also the timing of it makes it so that you can't really exploit it every turn. What's it called? But she is proven, apparently, at least in the Japanese community, to be strong for the Blossom farm, because her Infinity type, along with her native strong damage, I believe she has like Berserk Plus or something like that, along with maybe Berserk or bigger, I forget what, but she has some combination of damage amps along with her Infinity type that makes her well suited against the enemies in the front line of the Attack Blossom farm in Chapter 13 when you are facing Overlord. Do not get Raven Arthur, he's kind of Omega trash. He just has extended horizontal movement and can pull units in before pushing them away after attacking them. The problem is he doesn't really have that much damage amp to begin with, so it's like, why are you attacking them? I don't know, you're just gonna have to let other allies attack them before he pushes them back. But yeah, that's his unique thing. He pulls them in before he pushes them away. Junko Inishima, for sure. Tua Shen, I kind of wanted him for what he first printed. He's just a very funny unit in terms of having extended movement that varies depending on if it's odd or even turns. He also bestows combo, so that could be a new source for combo if you're kind of tired of the beach stuff propaganda. I might get him, not entirely sure yet. As I said, I'm not sure what to spend on these 4 tickets. Baphomet, I really would not recommend to get them, but they do technically have a purpose of like, applying reliable doubt on a single target. So if you need that utility for some reason, I guess you could use that and then spread it with Tsukiyomi or like refresh it with Jurong or something like that for permanent doubt. But it's like, it's probably not worth it. Oh yeah, they also have like that drain reversal thing, but ultimately it'll just prevent your team from being reliable. Is Swimsuit Kotobopaz in the selection? I don't think so, but didn't he just reprint recently? Did he not pull him during that time? Kokopelli, unique for having Russian Roulette, which is essentially a chance effect on all the enemies, where if they're hit, there's a 30% chance they'll be inflicted with 3 different damage amps, or defense mitigations rather. It'll be, I believe it's freeze and stigma and weakness. So none of the ones that do any other disablement, but that is a lot of amp for a 4-star. That is board wide. It is chance based, so it's really only useful for challenges. But for a triple board wide amp, that's kind of nuts, especially since they're all debuffs, so they're very unlikely to overlap. So Kokopelli is quite good for challenges for sure. He also has some combo stuff, but I forgot how it is, and some resistance to like what's it called drain or whatever it is. Sanzo is another unit I'm considering getting because he is quite good. He's like Lianin but passive, not as much amp as Lianin, but I think it's a crit after he misses, and then he also has defensive utility as well with maybe it's protection or maybe it's skill lock. So yeah, he offers both damage and defense with a unit behind, and he doesn't need to move is the important part. Very good. Igolonok, I'm glad I have him. He's hot, and he's good too. He gives a massive amount of charge fill to allies, or if he is the debuff, or if the allies are the debuff too. So he synergizes quite well with these quirky teams that are focused on debuffing your own team. Just, you know, you'll need someone who has a natural good charge though. So I'd recommend him, but only if you really know what you're doing with team building or quirky teams. Himmelbot, don't get him. He's just like low range board wide freeze, and concentration around him guaranteed. Saturnus, as you know, he's not great. Nourishment or something is his best feature to allies around him. I'm starting to remember. He's like he changes something at 50% HP or below, but it's like it's not worth it. Anyway, yeah, I'm not deciding my force, so I'll just I'll be doing that off stream. But for the others, we can finally continue with the other tickets. Eagle doesn't need Hecate to support him. Hecate is a good synergizing choice though for sure. Alright. I'd say Hastra is a better pick for Eagle and Luck since he actually gives debuffs every turn. That's unique. But yeah, we can look at... Did I click on the right thing? The limited tickets, finally. So, the pick tickets lets you pick a limited 5-star, 4-star, or 3-star. The 4-star and 3-star is bundled within their own pack, and you do need to buy these, so not everyone will enjoy these. But yeah, for the 3-stars, I will not be like talking about these much. I mean, I might as well talk about them. Just get who you don't have for the the day quest. None of these are particularly exceptional. I guess like... Wait. Where's Triton? Triton's not here. That's weird. Huh. Okay, it seems like they did not reprint all of the 3-stars here for some reason. That's kind of funny. Anyways, Triton would have been maybe the only one worth it for the Beast Tamer's equip, but it doesn't matter. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about, first off the bat, the 4-stars. So, for the 4-stars, no one here is particularly exceptional except for one unit, obviously, which I'll get to. So, starting off with Z's, she is... I don't know what she does. She's like board wide pull and some heal, increased recovery, and some damage amp. Don't use her. She's not good. Choji, he's a decent pick, honestly. He has a massive amount of damage amp, both in combination with local and global. He has blessing strengthening in combination with crit plus plus, depending on the position. There's a bit of a reliable issue with the crit plus. With the which aspect? I guess it might be the blessing part. At least his own blessing is not guaranteed. At 40% or something like that, but you can get a blessing guaranteed from someone else. So he's quite strong if you would just want amp. He's another triple amp source, unlike Kokopelli. Then there is Orgus. He is not good, don't get him. He switches his range to none if you move him, and he has long slash damage that's unreliable if you don't. Soul, he removes buffs when he attacks units. That's probably his best feature from his Evo. Otherwise, he kind of like does nothing otherwise. Protection on first 4 turns. There are better buff removers, but I guess, you know, you could get him if you like him and you want a buff remover. He removes all defense buffs, by the way. Not just all buffs, but specifically defense buffs. Aze is Omega Trash. Do not get Aze. He is like actually stinky doo-doo. All he does, what does he even do? Like fears the enemy at a range, and then like he has like weapon resistance depending on if he hits or misses, and I don't know, just like it's not it's pretty trash. Jiraiya, he's okay for comp clear, but don't get him. He's not worth it for your purchase. Like seriously, do not be getting like basic comp clears that do nothing else. I think he pierces evasion, but like seriously, it's not worth it. Itsamna, he does a lot of damage amp for sure. Depending on his charge meter, he applies an invisible amp to enemies, as well as if you move him, he can apply crit plus to the ally in front. Strong combination. I just never remembered to use him, but technically he is one of those like slightly better than the triple amp units. Ketchi might be salvaged by Barong's instant repositioning, but otherwise he kind of struggles because as a triple column clear support, he kind of wants to be in a certain position instantly, but he never is. So not reliably anyways. He just wants 3 people in front of them on turn start. That's not going to happen on turn start though, obviously, unless you have Barong. But yeah, Oz. This is the unit that you should get if you actually got the 4-star and you don't have him yet. Oz is fantastic. He is the only must-have unit among this entire set here. And you will want to get him by... because he applies all range to the ally in front of him. So very generalizable. It's not to himself, it's to the ally in front of them. It's very busted with units like Tato Mighty, who can then skill lock and remove all the buffs of enemies. And his only issue is the reliability issue after what's called he gets a charge, because his reliability falls off if he's below a certain amount of CP. But yeah, that is also fixed by Smoky God's base form, which we talked about in the permanent selector earlier. So yeah, Oz kind of OP. We'll use him for farming in the context of boosters. Possibly not, probably not, but it's technically possible to farm with him. He's just very busted for challenges though, for sure. Yamasachikyo, do not get him. What does he even do? I don't know. It's like resistance to certain statuses like fear, and maybe he has some local damage. Smoky God, interesting choice. He's pretty good to get, honestly. He has like permanent guts application to the ally out of him. As I hinted at before though, he does have flat damage to himself every single turn start, so or release every time he misses. So that's a bit risky, but it is cheesable in certain quests like the sword dungeon. Tsukiyomi, he can spread debuffs, so he's a bit like strong in terms of refreshing them, but it's less reliable, and the only difference is he can spread debuffs. He also has some charge fill application and some amp application, but I never really remember when to use it. It's in very specific ranges too, and a bit late in the game you can apply it, so I would not recommend him. Ellie is probably my second most recommended unit in this batch. Ellie does a lot for a healer type unit. She increases healing, I believe, as well as enables everyone to become a healer themselves by giving everyone a lifesteal ability that will just last forever straight up, on top of their regular damage anyways. On top of that, she has this, she can apply darkness, I believe, and she can apply regeneration too, which is quite a lot, healing reversal to the enemy, and on top of that, finally, she has possession on the entire board as long as the enemy is below a certain amount of HP, which is kind of nuts because she's like the only unit that can exploit two full turns of possession due to the timing of it happening on turn start of the enemy turn. So she does way too much for a 4-star healer type support. She's excellent for sure. Ifrit, don't get him. He has local amps, and he also has like burn and conflagration, but that's pretty much it. Blow range does not help him. Fenrir, don't get him. He has some defense of utility with like curse and curse spread and tenacity to self and healing, but it's selfish and it's not particularly strong, and like why keep someone alive longer if they're not contributing? Fenrir can power creep Howling us surely. Surely. Hanuman, he, believe it or not, is actually quite strong, but he is a complicator, so that's kind of like a big minus for him. He does have like, I forgot all the combinations of amps he has, but he has like a massive amount that is dependent on if he's debuffed or if he misses and something on turn start. I just forget the combination of amps he has, which is why I don't use him. Also, he's Hanuman, so not my favorite unit. Definitely not someone I want to be seeing on my screen, but he is strong nonetheless, but I wouldn't get him. Would not get him for sure, because there's definitely other complicators. Gongne, he has recently received an evolution that lets him get strengthened by acceleration. The problem is he does not have acceleration to himself on his base kit, so that's kind of funny. He really does live and die by the synergies he has. Good thing we have Curren, I guess. I'm not sure if that'll save him, but at the very least it'll make him usable. Other than that, I would not recommend them. He is cute though. Tarutomo, I would not recommend. He never received an Evo. He's kind of hyper trash. He's just got survival plus bind, both at low rates. Licht, he's quite good at a lot of damage. He recently received an Evo that just made his damage amps more reliable. Between his like what's it called, buff reversal now instantly activatable, and his what's it called. He also has weakness when he's hit, and vigor, of course, and he has a lot going for him. A lot of damage straight up. His only issue is whenever he gets a charge up, because that reduces his range, which is kind of funny because he does build his charge up a bit too fast. But Licht is definitely, you know, a pretty good, like, if not a boss killer, someone who can kill like high HP enemies for reliably. I believe he has a board wide M2. That's the unique thing about him, where if the enemy has a stigma, or rather he applies stigma to the enemy if they receive any sort of buff. So yeah, very strong if he can instantly buff the enemy, which is possible with units like Curren as well, who can give acceleration to the enemy every turn start. Gushing over Licht, I mean, he is actually quite strong. I did not gush over his 5-star at all. I skipped over it very much, but I do remember his 4-star actually doing so much. I really should review him again. I haven't used them lately just because I forgot. There's been a lot of units to keep my head, but Licht, I'm pretty sure, has not fallen off. He's still quite as strong as ever. The only thing that might have fallen off is board wide damage, just because there's a lot more now that's accessible. Huckman, just like her base form, it's not worth getting her here because all she's useful for is her charm on face start, which you can replicate with the LE AR or the Outlaws AR, as well as the Viral Influence Anniversary AR. Nobuharu, he recently received an evolution that lets him do a variety of support effects to the ally head, including I believe adamantine, as well as some sort of damage amp and charge fill, maybe, of course charge fill, and movement extension. It's kind of like he pairs well if you want just to make your solo carry even stronger, but I wouldn't get him. I don't know, maybe just use Sansa instead. He's a bit complicated to use. He does need to be hitting enemies to get his charge up. Which banner is worth playing in the current summon? I talked about that in extensively in the beginning of the stream. Please rewind to that. I do not want to go over another several minutes just repeating what I already said. Alright, Kenta, he's fallen off because all his amps, while he does have a lot, are like, delayed as well as not accessible. Or not reliable, rather. So don't get Kenta. Don't get Surtr. His Evo's trash. He's trash. Unreliable damage, unreliable mitigation. It's like, well, I don't know why they would ever give someone like that Evo something like that. Babalon, don't get her. She's kind of weak. She used to be good for like Order plus Nourishment, plus like immobility or something like that. But it's like that's the only thing you'd use for her. For those amps where she has to move, it's like you have better options where you don't have to move, like with Yule. Alright, Tetsuox. He is quite strong for magic damage dealer when you move him. It's just slight reliability issues, so you may want to get him if you want a lot of magic damage. Although, Metadoc is currently printing right now, so you can just get him instead. Pull from a bit instead. Metadoc's Saturday variant, that is. But yeah, otherwise, he's an okay choice for sure. Reiki. He has not received any sort of evolution. He is someone that can inflict darkness, I believe, every 3 turns and has advantage against it, and can switch between snipe versus thrust range for local damage versus columnar, like, flat damage. Not good. Don't get him. And Klaus. He is deceptively okay. Like, he seems bad on the surface in terms of, like, you're never going to get his all range up, and it's not going to be really helpful with his guts. But he does technically have like some pretty strong utility defensively. I believe he has like protection and reflect debuff passively. It's just not to himself. I think he only has like evasion to himself at a low rate. But yeah, he's okay defensively if you want a defensive unit. Main recommendation for this is going to be Oz, followed by Ellie. Reminder that for the platinum tickets, my main one was Jurong and Boogeyman. Okay, I'm fucking dying. I don't know why I backed out. We need to talk about the 5 stars now.
今回も来ました。期間限定サプライズ。さあ選んでください、主様。主様に良いご縁がありますように。
Enough, Solon. Please let me talk, Solon. I'm thank you. Sorry, I just realized. This light is not flattering at all. Just that time of day, I guess. I was going for natural daylight, but at a certain point it just becomes blinding. Alright, let's talk about the permanent 5 stars, which is the main meat of this bunch. So, starting with Jedmoro's Santa! Probably don't get him. He's like a board wiper. I believe he's an instant board wiper now, actually. And he has extended movement, which can help him, you know, build his charge up a bit faster while he amps allies at the same time. From his recent Evo, his damage isn't like super amazing though, so like, it's more like, I don't know. He's one of those units that, on paper, seem fine on principle. You know, get your board wipe up and then build up it up again. In practice, you're probably not going to use them compared to some other unit that just has their all range up every single turn. Next off, Yasuyori, don't get him. Possibly one of the worst variants in the game for 5 stars. He just... Oh my god, such hyper trash. He gets his charge up instantly and then you can deny it if you move him. But his charge does like negative damage and his regular attack does like negative damage too. So like, why bother? It's actual trash. Necros and Bacchus from the Afkare series. He is... Okay, he gives a galore of debuffs, much like Kushi and what's called Gyobu. But it's at like slightly different ranges. It can be good, but it's also like a bit unreliable too. So it's not great. And you know, he's a 5 star, so I'm not sure if you do want that for a 5 star. So yeah, I would not recommend him. Welcome Nightwalker. We are just currently talking about the limited 5 stars now, after talking about the limited 4 star selection and the platinum tickets. Ben 10, technically she's a bit stronger now with affiliations existing, but she will always suffer from having limited range, with her all range attack being ended or, you know, curtailed by her charge at magic range. So that has always been her weakness, and that has not changed. She hasn't received any evos either, so what are you gonna do? I would not recommend her. Nomad is one of my recommendations among this set. He has fallen out of relevance a bit now that dailies have been reworked, but you know, he's still good for general purpose comp clearing, because he probably has the most utility out of all supportive comp clears while also having okayish damage himself. He lets allies pierce all defense buffs, including evasion, and including to himself. So on top of that, he has extended movement, so the randomness was positioning on top of like mechanics with regards to like evasion and like defense of stacks. Like, just say goodbye to that. He can deal with that easily. I believe he also has a chance of removing buffs too, so if they have guts, that could help. I think it's guaranteeable. I forget. Like, quite good. Balor, don't get him. He used to be good. He used to be like the best magic damage dealer in WoW. But then, you know, Anvari Evo, and then what's it called? Merodach, and like, I don't know, it's like, he's just so unreliable now in comparison, it's not worth it. Just don't get Balor. Arc. They are still unique for their board-wide prayer, and they technically do have some other utility when it comes to a mixed purpose, you know, board wiping / comp clearing / defensive and healing and charge filling maybe. I forget if they charge full or not. But I wouldn't really recommend them because, no, you're in practice just using them for the prayer, and it's like, it's not that important in the end. For farming. For mixed purpose units, I'm not a fan of them in general, honestly. But yeah, Yarmangandr, he is a charge filler every time he's buffed to allies adjacent. Very high rate, but it is a limited range of adjacent only. He also has a lot of defense personally to himself with like wall and maybe tenacity if he's not moved or something like that. He also, because of his charge filling to himself, builds his charge quite quickly. I would not recommend him though. As a unit for farming, what's called, you know, charge filling is not very reliable to get his charge up at a specific turn. And he is also like not particularly interesting for challenges either, so I'd say no. Don't get Yarmangandr. Heracles, do not get him. He's just like a very shitty Willy in terms of he switches from his magic range into slash range with combo. You might as well just use like Oz was Willy at that point. Like that's the only unique thing he really does. Enjoy magic range was like slash range penalty. He does some other things I believe when it comes to pulling enemies in and what's called having some additional amp, but it's like it's not worth remembering. Sandayu, he copies all buffs every second turn after that sort of update slash nerf. I would not recommend him just because it's like, while he can sort of, I forget if he copies or spreads buffs, honestly. Maybe he spreads buffs. But yeah, if he spreads all buffs, it's like only every second turn, which is not gonna be great for if you want like those one turn all ranges from Oz. Yeah, it's harder to play around for farming essentially. Kruznik, even more so, despite being a calm clear, he's kind of like even more mid. He is a unit. Sorry, I'm like running out of energy, and also my throat is fucking crying like this hard desert here. He's a unit that you think would be good with bestowing combo to allies, but he never bestows combo to allies. It's weird. He like I think he applies like effects to his allies where if they attack, then they can there's an after hit effect of weakness or something like that, and he can apply combo to himself, I guess, but he also cannot have any defense buffs, I believe. He can only take healing buffs at most, so he does a bit of lifesteal, but I don't think his lifesteal is sufficient enough to really keep him alive. So that's like Kruznik's kind of a bit too undertuned for sure. So Kruznik, Kabukicho Night Festival's 5 stars were like really not that great, unfortunately. Alright, Typhon, he's super Omega cute, I love him, but he is a bit lacking in terms of nowadays. He has his board wipe, which is what he's known for, but he doesn't get it nearly as fast as other people nowadays. It's also not as strong as it was in its heydays. He does have like concentration, I believe. I forget if that's himself. It probably isn't though. And does he have like Glint on arrival or some dumb shit like that? I forgot. So he's good if you want to paralyze the enemy's board wide, but it's like for raw damage, he's not it anymore. He's key though. Hogan, quite strong actually with his Evo. He received this ability that lets him, I believe, bestow Crit Plus or some shit like that to allies in front of him. If he's at 100 CP, he has that extended movement and like reliable damage and maybe reliable bind too. So he's like one of the few calm clears I'd maybe recommend because he just has like massive damage on top of like good utility too. But yeah, consider him maybe, but Nomad is definitely a better pick between the two. Shino, he is awful. Sorry, Shino fans. He does some lifesteal, not even lifesteal, just heals when he attacks. And he has some like heal spam on charge. I'm not sure if he has gut spam. It might be just to his allies though that he gives guts to. It's not great. Toji, he's quite good with his Evo. You have to move him in order for the allies that are beside him to get the ability to apply double lock guaranteeably. So that means just move him beside Oscar and like or like Hawkman, and then you have board wide double lock. So good for activating such a cheesy effect like that. That's kind of like the only reason you ever use him for it. He does have some other effects he started with, but it's like you're not gonna use it for turn start damage. I guess you're gonna slowly pick everyone up for this thrust range after double locking them is the idea, but whatever. Tangaroa Mugen. So he has historically been weak, but got an Evo, and he still was a bit weaker compared to Walter due to his positional restrictions, which we'll talk about in the end later, a bit more in depth. But right now, I'd like to say that Tangaroa Mugen is strong in challenges, but because he does have that unique utility of copying debuffs from your allies, or rather stealing them, and then redistributing them towards the enemy. He doesn't refresh them, unfortunately, so it's just like you'll have to deal with what he has at the moment. But it is like potentially towards the entire board and guaranteeable at least for the first 2 rows ahead of him. So quite strong for debuff setups, but you know, being able to have debuffs on your own team is always a situational thing in the first place. Unlike Walter, who is definitely my #1 pick, just like last year. I guess the more things change, the more things stay the same, because Walter has not changed as my number 1 pick for this year's recommendations. He is ridiculously strong even now with his ability to spread buffs through the entire board. Guaranteeably, yes, guaranteeably, even though it's not natively guaranteeably, there are many ways to give him Glint for free now, including Yule with concentration from the Game Masters AR. He can spread it, he can spread Smoky God's, Super Glint for 50% along with Thunder Mighty, so that Thunder Mighty guarantees her buff removal and her, what's called, skill lock and weakness, and like, Walter just is good with Oz synergies because of that too. He's good with... He does so much. He can move him to summoners, which I did, so that he can hook up the limit booster, so that he can share limit on top of his concentration and his attack up and his brawn, which is like a ridiculous amount. He is definitely Walter. Did I say Walter Meekin? Oops. But yeah, definitely, absolutely. If you're wondering and you're new to these recommendations, he is my number 1 pick. Quite possibly the strongest unit in the entire game, even across all other ones. Well, I guess he's still second to Unvari, just from the logistics side. But in terms of raw strength alone, I'd say like Wakan Tanka Meekin is definitely the strongest unit in the game. But yeah, moving on, Krampus got mogged by Curren. He has the ability to refresh all buffs if he moves on himself, and he has a stigma effect on the board every 5 turns, which is kind of like whatever. But yeah, just use Curren now if you manage to get her. Tsathoggua, he has a lot of damage and can act a bit defensively. The problem is he has a lot of anti-synergy with people because he pushes your team away as well as deals massive flat damage to them for enemy hits. So good luck team building with him. You're probably not, and his solo carry potential is a bit questionable too as a result. So it's a bit hard to say if he's actually good or not. He's strong, but he's not strong enough for solo carrying, and he's very anti-synergy. So like I don't know. Use him, I guess. Get him if you don't want to get regular Kasuga, because regular Kasuga is an overdrawn myth, but at least this Kasuga can be quirky with his flat damage strategies. Kurogane. Sorry, Kurogane, you have fallen off super omega hard. Not necessarily because of anything you've done, but because of the current state of the game, where dailies have been killed off for some Garbo thing that anyone can clear. There is no evasion in dailies now, which is Kurogane's best quest. And like he's kind of like not really useful for any other quest, honestly, at this point. He's good for the movement extension, but you could also get the same thing from like Masashi at that point. So it's like there's not really any reason why you'd want to use specifically Kurogane other than pushing enemies away cheesily like Akiogayan. Alright, the last batch of the two is the Efkari buddies here, the husbands of Yuji. So Gordon is a unit that, like Tangaroa Mugen, has suffered historically because of his restriction to being stuck in the back. If you bring him support, he won't be in range to inflict his double lock. So he's not been great on support as a result. He has this ability of double locking the 2 rows in front of them, or the 5x2 area ahead of him, if at a 50% rate. So very good at disabling. He does have the unique effect, which is quite good, of pulling all enemies in on turn start, guaranteed out of the box. Between that and his 50% double lock, as well as his 2 different damage amps or defense mitigations, his break as well as his weakness spread on the enemies, he can be good for sort of dispatching a large amount of enemies on large maps, but not necessarily instantly, because he needs to be set into position and it's not necessarily safe with the block and all that. So quite good, but just frustrating ultimately based on the restrictions of his ranges and his positionings. Fafnir, on the other hand, is just kind of altogether very, very good. I would recommend him if you already have Walter and you're not really in the mood for like what's called, I guess, what is the second 5-star I'd recommend here? It would probably be Nomad, yeah. But if you already have Nomad and Walter, maybe I'd recommend Fafnir, just because Fafnir, he is a bit like Curren in terms of refreshing all buffs. He does have to move for it though, but he is also able to copy buffs from allies, so he's kind of like a funnel in that sense in terms of buffs go in and buffs stay within him. Very cool stuff from him. He's not necessarily too relevant for farming, but because he can juggernaut quite well like that, he can make short work of quests as long as you're playing with the right team setup. But yeah, I think I have yapped on enough, and my throat is dying again. God damn it. Oh my god. Logan even made his spook over Valentine Kengo a welcome surprise for me. Glad you managed to get him at least, but I hope you got Valentine Kengo eventually, who is not printing here. But yeah, in summary, platinum tickets, I'd recommend, what's it called? Sorry, let's start with rainbow tickets. Rainbow tickets, the permanent 5 stars, I would recommend Oscar and Ded. Well, unless you have Mononobe, in which case, the sky's the limit, you could probably get any number of other units. But Oscar or Ded if you do not have Mononobe. For the platinum tickets, aka the permanent 4 stars, I would recommend you get the skill seeds and level seeds first. Maybe get the AR, the permanent, sorry, the legacy AR boosters if you actually only have a few missing. If you have like all of them missing, like I would say don't bother. And then I would recommend among the 4 stars, Jurong or Boogeyman. There are a lot of good ones there though, and none of them are must-have, so you can just pick among your favorites. You may also want to consider getting the guild seals or the guild, the subcontracts. For the limited pick tickets, for the 4 stars, I would recommend you go ahead and either get Oz, of course, the main one, or if you already have, maybe Ellie. So these 2 here. And for the limited pick ticket, I would recommend you get Walter or Nomad. Ugh, I just realized I didn't actually spend my ticket. Okay, with that said, I already have what's called Walter, and I don't have Nomad, but I don't really want him. I mean, I don't think he's nearly as must-have anymore, so like I have solutions when it comes to dealing with multiple stacks or evasion or stuff like that, so I'm gonna go get the Ded. He's not great, but I like Ded. I like Santa. Santa! I love Santa. Alright, let's do this. Give me that Santa Billy. Zavi. No. Alright, we are going to... What's called? I need to review, first off, the news articles because there's a lot I've covered so far, but I'm sure there's still a lot I haven't talked about yet. So we covered the recommendations, we covered login bonus. I talked briefly about what they had, and also there's new guild items, which I'm not going to show off as I said. There is a chapter 16 prologue now, so that's exciting for those that read Japanese. But you know, I can't see it anyways because I still haven't done chapter 15, which is still not translated, unfortunately. But yeah, chapter 16 prologue is ready for reading in Japanese. There is a new attribute, which we talked about, God attribute. Right, let's see the thing for that if we can. So here's the new way it looks. For those that have been wondering, as you can see, ignoring the arrangement of things, God obviously just has the most amount of advantages, both offensively and defensively, towards what's called all these different attributes. The ones we're most familiar with: water, fire, wood from the elemental attributes, light and dark from the the shading attributes. You know, earth, valiant, and infernal from the, I guess you can call them the lore attributes. And you know, I guess you could call this entire section just like the elemental morality attributes. It's just insane amount of advantage against them all. And there's very few all around infinity and null units, aka the domain attributes, I guess I'll call them. So like in terms of pure numbers alone, like God will have, this God attribute will have very few disadvantages. But it is interesting to note that at least for all around and infinity and null, they have the least disadvantages overall in terms of you know, what's called on a per attribute basis. They don't have any disadvantage towards anyone from the, you know, elemental morality attributes, and they have advantage against God. So the only disadvantage they'll ever consider is just against one thing. So you might want to consider either playing with God types or with this type here, the domain attributes. So it's pretty cool stuff. Where did Valiant come from in the lore? Valiant is the heroes. It's also, you can consider it the good. In the game, these are the infernal in the data is called evil, but you can consider Valiant as the good then. Although, as we know, Valiant doesn't necessarily mean good, and you know, infernal doesn't necessarily mean evil. But yeah, the good, it's taken up by people who ends up being heroes in the stories, just like Mikhail, who's just like the one who will protect the people of the Hebrew people and all that. It's and in lore, it's also described as, you know, at least from the Black Snow event, it was described as, you know, the hero defeats the Dark Lord, aka Infernal. The Dark Lord is crushes the masses, and the masses subjugates and controls the hero. The masses, in this case, being the world. So it was like a very refined sort of lore, sort of a trifecta that I thought was very interesting. It helped me remember it for sure in that sense. But yeah, the lore behind like Infinity, Null, and All Around is a bit harder to understand. It's more conceptual, based on, I guess, existence versus non-existence, more philosophical than anything. And this god attribute, I mean, I don't know anything about it. We can only assume what it's at. All Valiant units borrowed something from the Exile, right? There's a huge trend between the Valiant units having some tie to the Exile for sure. I don't know if that's necessarily true of all of them, but there is a huge trend for that. Just like not all Infernal units are shadows, but there's a huge trend towards that about the evil version. But you know, they don't necessarily need to be the good version of anything. They could just be the ones that came out on the righteous end. And they might be the ones that, you know, are sympathetic towards the Exile very often as a result. But yeah, we will review what other topics we have here. There is going to be, I believe, half stamina. Is that the next topic I should cover? Yeah, so there is 2 different campaigns here. There is a level boosting campaign. So right now, ooh, the filters are here. As we can see here, let's go ahead and level up our boogeyman, I guess. We can see there is a fever bonus of 3 times. Let's just throw in some of these until we get a bonus, hopefully. So if you're even saving or hoarding your boosts, now's the time to use them. That's what I've been doing all this time, because you know, I actually want to start strategizing around these great and fever campaigns. So I already have a great, good stuff. Maybe we'll just throw in one more. Okay, not so lucky, but I'll do that in my own time. That'll take a while. And as you can see here, there is also going to be a half stamina campaign for both free quests and daily quests, as well as a quarter stamina campaign for the event quests, which I'm not going to do because it's not Transient. Very cool Life Wonders. I will have to see the extension of the campaign, or you know, the anniversary scenario, when Chapter 15 is released, if I remember. I guess suppose we can just do one of these very quickly. Where's the Invari at? Invari with the Blossom Booster. There you are. And we will go ahead and give it a run. Good start. Thank you, Mikhail, for removing skill lock from my entire team. And that's it for this quest. So I'm gonna be having fun doing this, but I still need to clear out the tricksters from the Halloween police. So I'm obviously not farming this straight away. I'm just doing a demonstration. It is half stamina, so keep a lookout for that. Now's the time to farm for sure. Let's see. Right, there's also limited dungeons available right now. Both the never mind, it's not available. It will be available eventually. Right, what date is available? Let's see. It's opening up on December 6th, both the Seed and Blossom dungeons. I would not recommend you do that, because it's just like you're better off just farming them at that point. Your lamp oil is a precious resource that you should exclusively save either for leveling up people or for the coin dungeon. The distribution amount for seeds and blossoms in their respective dungeons is not great. But yeah, I think I talked about everything besides 2 things of note. I'll just read up the chat a bit before I move on though. Why wasn't Kirito added to the paid ticket rotation? I don't understand the logic behind this one. Last year's and previous year's limited 5-star selections, it made sense in terms of, you know, the year restriction, but I don't really understand the logic behind the limited pick roster this time. So I don't really know if it's based on certain unit preference or events. It seems a bit random, to be honest. So who's to say why Kirito was not included this time? But yeah, how good is Mikhail? He's the perfect unit designed for just that Attack Blossom quest. He's very good for like long slash farming in general. And because he has massive damage that lasts for, just the first few turns of battle, but also he has extended movement, which is very, very incredibly rare. He might be like the first one, honestly, among long slash units long slash damage dealers to have that extended movement. So he can just reposition himself in the center immediately to get rid of that entire row. Very helpful. Okay, I'm meandering, but yeah, there's only a couple of topics left over. Be sure to check out the website, is what I'm going to say. So I'll post it over here in chat. Nice little details that you can see. There's not really any new information here, but you might as well check it out. It has they put the effort towards putting it up, and you could see their new trailers. There's also a trailer for some reason of what's it called? A trailer of them putting an advertisement up in public. So cool stuff, just like triggering something with a new, just like yeah, validation. Everyone can see my gay gacha game. It's not something I just have to keep secret. So besides that, there is gonna be some new merchandise. So read along if you can, because I'm not gonna show you guys on screen. But yeah, there's some merchandise for what seems to be like a handbook, and a badge, and like a metallic badge of some kind, featuring the Summoner's logo as well as the General Summoner's mark for and it's made of metal, so that's quite fancy. And there's also like badges for every guild, and also some of the affiliations too, with some icons you've never seen, including icons for the Hakenshi, aka the 8 Dog Warriors, as well as Viral Influence and the 2 Mountaineering Clubs. Cool stuff. Of course, there are also some badges for the individual characters, but that's nothing new, and some stand-ups. And yeah, that's pretty much it, except for one last thing, which is the promises for next year. So yeah, I might as well go ahead and switch to this screen now. Actually, let's switch to my guild. So that is almost pretty much it for today's stream. I would like to go over one extra thing though, and that is the promises for next year's updates or towards the 9th year. So I wish I could showcase this, but I don't have a screen capture of it set up conveniently. So you'll just have to bear with me as I read it out loud. So to the 9th year, the features that will be included, ignoring everything that was just added here, was of course Chapter 16. Its full release will be included eventually. We'll also be getting, seems to be some sort of comic market thing, things people don't care about. Some more date quests, of course, but uniquely, we're eventually going to get some new background music, or rather, we'll be able to play background music in association with the 3 backgrounds we choose for our home screen. So that's some exciting stuff. We can finally have some variations besides time-lapse constantly playing every time we log in. Outside of that, we can now switch expressions of characters, at least within the character observation screen. Maybe not in battle yet. Vaguely, there are mentioning that there is going to be we can customize our profile screen. I don't know what that means, but that'll be interesting to see. And apparently, they'll show us the skill order of activation, that's very interesting that they would do that. I mean, I like the change, but it's not really a direction I'd ever see them going into. And let's see, there are 2 features which I kind of alluded to very much in passing, which is kind of relevant to talk about because these are going to be some pretty massive changes in the future in the game. So first off the bat is going to be the implementation of charge evolutions. So finally, there's a lot of units with some good charge uptime, but some trash charges. They could definitely use some new charge evolutions. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking at you, Inaba, but there's many other units like, Arsalan with their unction on charge and things like that could definitely use a boost because, yeah, some charges they ain't it. Lastly, besides all of that, we are also going to receive the ability to switch the support slot's position within the team, which is significant because it means certain units such as Tangaroa Mugen or Gordon, as I hinted at before, are gonna be finally relevant in support slot because they used to be pretty useless in the sub slots, not being able to reach the full range. We can also just start benefiting from units that are just better in the first slot in general, such as the recently released Manticore. There should be some other examples I'm forgetting. Well, yeah, hopefully this means we can also switch sub slots into the support slot into sub slots, so we can have a full 4-person main team of just your own units. We can enjoy the affiliation bonus. There's lots of things I could think about. It's a very fascinating change that I did not expect they were eventually going to introduce. But yeah, both of those changes, incredible stuff. Unfortunately, I thought it'd be released in this Evo since I was in the know about them ahead of time. But it turns out it's just like a across the year thing. Gonna be a bit slow in terms of that, but it didn't seem like they released hinted at any other significant gameplay changes. Hopefully I'll be surprised though. But yeah, I hope all of you beautiful selves enjoyed the stream. Today was fun and I was looking forward to this all year, but it is not yet over for the content. I will be releasing a video summarizing what I talked about here, as well as my deeper thoughts on both Curren as well as Mononobe. Look forward to my reviews for those, although if you are impatient, again, the rewind feature is right there. You just go down and see the part where I talked about them. Yeah, definitely pull on that banner, it's very good. And besides that, there will be the Christmas event coming up. I will hold my tongue again because of Harvey about what we can look forward to then. But maybe I'll talk about it by the time we have our discussion on this anniversary set. Look forward to it, everyone. You lovely people. I had a wonderful time, everyone. That's all for now, cuties. Catch you next time.